Greetings everyone, welcome to Babies with Knives. Today we're going to be playing Swords and Wizardry with Matt Finch as our GM. Hi Matt.
Hello.
It's so awesome of him to come and GM for us. This is so awesome. Okay, below him is Brandon Powers, my ever-present co-host.
Howdy.
I'm Alice Peng, aka Lala Twiddle, and we have Kevin joining us. Hey Kevin.
Hey all, and I'll add in, I'm saying when I found out I could actually join today, it was Matt Finch's GMing for you. Don't make it weird.
And then we have our friend Tim Lemaster. Hey Tim. Hold your key down.
I don't think you're holding the keybind down.
Make it as weird as you possibly can. Even weirder!
So, Matt.
That's a slippery slope, my friend, a slippery slope.
Yep. Matt, why don't you take us away?
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I did ask Alice to go ahead and sort of get the whole thing started without doing too much talking with the people ahead of time, because then those of y'all who are watching, and since this is a recorded rather than a live video, you don't want to feel like you're coming in the middle of the thing. So all that I really asked for was for people's names. And so I know names, and I also know Brandon's character, just given the fact that we rolled him up yesterday. Are you using the same one, Brandon?
Oh, no, I went and rolled a new one.
Okay.
I can use that one, but Alice said she didn't save it.
No, it's
so
sweet.
I'd have to have gone back through and written everything down as we went.
Watching the video and taking notes.
Yes.
Sure he did.
It was accidental. I meant to save it.
Yeah, right. You're like 7 Constitution. Boom.
I've got worse stats than he did yesterday.
He had good stats yesterday.
Did.
All right, so and also just to let the people in the audience know that what we did was we rolled up. I'm assuming we rolled up 3d6 straight up, and I don't know whether people rearranged to suit or not.
Down the line.
Okay, so we're just down
old
the
school.
line. So let me go ahead and get starting going. Alice, Brandon, Kevin, and then Tim. Give me the quick what it is that you're playing, the character name in the class, and the race and all of that good stuff. I don't really need backstories. If you've got a backstory, give it to me quick. It's not a super key thing.
Sure. My character's name is Iskar. He is a ranger, a human ranger, and my stats were 13-6, 14-9, 9-6. So I'm going to be using a bastard sword, and I'm wearing leather armor. I also rolled up really bad gold, so I don't have a backpack. I just have it tied to my back with a rope.
Okay, Brandon?
I am a dwarven fighter.
One thing, Alice, how many hit points have you got?
I've got 18. I did max my die roll on that.
All right, Brandon?
I am a dwarven fighter, Calderon. I similarly have no backpack. And just, general dwarven mercenary at this point is what I figured.
Okay. Kevin?
Rubik, halfling rogue. He's actually a rich little fella due to what he rolled. And I can sum his character up at the line. It seemed like a good idea at the time.
Okay, what's his hit points?
5.
And
9 for Calderon.
9, okay. Tim, what do you got?
It's Tim, but that's I am playing a fighter named Belvedere. He's human. He's law. He's got a 13 strength, a 7 dex, a 12 con, an 8 intelligence, a 12 wisdom, and a charisma of 13.
Okay.
I carry a battle axe, a heavy mace, 2 daggers, and I'm wearing ringmail and a shield. I have a backpack.
I was about to ask, because the backpack could turn out. It's looking like that backpack's turning out to be pretty important in this adventure already. That's going to the backpack.
I have a backpack, 10 torches, flint and steel, water skin, 50 foot of rope, and
Okay, you're rich. We
4
get
iron
it.
spikes. Oh no, I have 4. Yeah, I spend my. Funny thing, I almost never buy equipment in an RPG, but I figure equipment might be important here. So
it's more important. It's more important that backpack survives than that Brandon survives.
How many hit points do you have, Tim?
8.
Did you want the stats?
Max at first level.
So did you want the stats, Matt?
What?
I ended up not giving those. Do you need them or?
I don't need the stats. I just wanted to
okay.
get the hit points, and then everyone is first level, right?
Yeah.
Right,
And I got 100 gold, but 90 of that went to armor.
Okay. All right, so here's the starting scenario for you guys. All right, you're in the giant sprawling port city of Jordoba. which is located on a strait that leads into a large inner sea called the Sea of Coromandel. Jordoba is an ancient holdover city. It's a little bit like Minoa, the Minoan Empire kind of thing. Don't really need too much of the background on that. One important thing, though, that is involved with the background here is that at one point in time, there was an empire before the empire, the Teminoan Empire that rules it now. It was ruled by an empire called the Vicinian Empire, and the Vicinians, the high Vicinians, the so-called witch breed, were they were sort of a technomancer kind of thing going on there, and so they mixed organic life forms with magic and with machinery and so on and so forth there. And they did it in these vast underground caverns that had previously been excavated by the Teminoans, who used earth magic, and they found little nodes. So they built these sprawling underground areas to locate these nodes of power underneath there. And then it was occupied by the Vicinians, who went in and used this sort of weird technomancy. And so most of this was up in the northeastern. Okay, and warning here, I'm terrible with east and west. If I ever say east or west and it doesn't appear to make sense, ask me, because probably it's wrong. So so in the northwest of the city, there was where most of these giant sprawling excavations were. And then something that the Vicinians did caused an obvious divine retribution kind of thing. And so that whole part of the city became buried in weird mixtures of rocks that shouldn't, there's a basalt in there. It's not a volcanic area. So these threads of strange rocks in there, and all of the organic machinery type of stuff that was down in there also ceased working in the way it was supposed to. And so a lot of it has functionally become traps. And so that's all in there, and that's the sort of mega dungeon area. Now, y'all are probably not going to go into that area. That's just sort of a setup for what goes in here. Next to Jordoba, there on the far side of that ruin, there's also a blasted area of the coast that was also damaged in this divine retribution. And so it's just sort of scraggly, weird desert that's out there that extends for hundreds of miles along the coastline. And that area is inhabited by nomadic tribes, and that's where most of the halflings in the area come from, because they travel around in vehicles and things that are leftovers from the Vicinian Empire that were out there. Might have been farm machinery, might have been something, but they sort of travel from oasis to oasis, and so these halflings go out and they find the things that can be smoked, and they lay out under the stars, looking at the stars at their favorite oases, telling riddles to each other and stories, and then eventually they move on to the next one. So it's sort of like a transient halfling thing. And if you're thinking about Jawas in Star Wars, you're not wrong. So Rubik, you're a Jawa.
Excellent.
Okay, and so that probably accounts for a lot of the money. It's just this sort of desert trading that the halflings do, and then they come into the city, and then there's halflings all over the foreigners' quarter for a while, and then they head back out into the thing. So one of the things that about Rubik that you heard about on the way to the city is that there is there's a rock outcropping about 50 or 60 miles away from the city that has got two entrances to it, and is often used as a kind of a way station for these various kinds of vehicles that the halfling clans move around in. And there's a water source deep inside it. It's cool, so it's sort of used like that. But you got a warning the last time that you were headed into the city not to go near it, because a group of halflings disappeared while they were in there. There's clearly something going wrong in there. And so at the moment, the desert tribes are just sort of staying away from it. And you do know that there is a couple of the various tribes have pooled together some resources for anybody who does want to risk themselves. The halflings obviously don't, because it's not what halflings do, but they've got 1,000 gold pieces worth of various desert spices and so on that they're willing to offer to anybody who does feel like going in and finding out whatever horrible thing it is that's happened in this area. So that's where you guys are right at the moment. You are in the Crow's Gate quarter of the city of Jordoba, 50 miles away from this. You've also got the mega dungeon there. If you decide to go into the mega dungeon, which you can certainly do, you can decide to do a city adventure if you want to, anything like that. Whatever you want to do, go.
Exactly where can we buy the book covering this setting?
Yeah, I was just texting with Brandon. I need the source book, please.
Man, we went commercial real fast, you guys.
I was texting Brandon. I need the source book.
There is kind of a source book on it. I'll send. I think it's for. I think I put it up for sale on DriveThru. I'm not sure if I did. I'll send you a link later on. And if I have actually put it up for sale, then you can put the link out there for people. I'll have to check.
Awesome.
So if you watch or see it, if there is a link down below, then that was the answer on that. I'm as in terms of sales and business go, I'm not all that particularly good at it, like most people in the industry. So I don't feel embarrassed to say that I'm not too good at that. Although actually, forgetting to publish stuff that you write is, that's not great. But all right, so let's go back to you're in the city of Jordoba in the Crow's Gate quarter. Go.
What I heard through this entire introduction was lucrative business opportunity.
Yes. So,
which he will discuss with his friends. The opportunity to thousands of gold worth of spices and rare desert items. I'm sure it'll be fine. You're big and much taller than us halflings.
Last time I followed you somewhere, I almost lost a leg, Rubik, but I'm really broke right now, so lead the way.
50 miles. I don't know if I can get there on. And I pull out I said, don't have a backpack. I've got one ration. I don't think that I've got quite enough food to make it that far.
I've got extra food and an iron pot. Should we find anything cookable?
I'm in.
Oh.
I have a backpack and 10 spikes, and I have a battle axe because I decided a battle axe is smarter than a sword because I can chop trees with it to make money. But I'm gonna go in this thing and try to get some money the easy way. Although I might die horribly, but risk factor, you risk pay. It's a win-win. Or we lose, or have an axe.
Belvedere, you are a king among beggars at the moment.
Looking at your ration, I'm like rub my tummy. Well, I've been rationing my ration, so I show you my 3 very covetingly and then put it away.
All right, so anybody want to do anything in the city? I mean, there are delicious smells, wafting through the area from various street vendors, who are deep frying things in giant cauldrons of cooking oil. There are bakeries, baking bread everywhere.
Rubik, I think you offered us lunch before we left.
I can afford to buy that since, I am a halfling of means.
It's true. You have a certain status among the halfling population. You're known as someone who is, not particularly trustworthy, but probably good for a loan. So, there's...
Oh, and he's cut to the quick.
It's what people think about you. What can I do?
Wow. He knows.
So in the modern day, so in the modern days, one of the guy that runs those cash auto loan places, and
I was thinking paycheck loans, but yeah, you're right on the money with that.
I picture the owner of the pawn shop in Lodge 49.
There you go.
Well,
all right, so
I almost lost my leg last time because I had to pay back a debt, apparently.
Now we see this is
high reward.
So you guys have a wonderful, possibly last dinner, and when so the sun, giant red sun begins to drift down toward the horizon, and Rubik estimates that the temperatures out in the desert sands are probably now falling to a bearable degree. You guys walk past the giant fountain well that's in the middle of Crow's Gate, and you go ahead and walk out into the desert.
I fill up
I-
my water skin before we go.
Mhm.
Yep, I
Okay.
fill up my water skin in there, and I also kneel and say a prayer.
Okay.
Does anybody have a tent or anything? 50 miles is a long way. Do we have something to shelter within? You are the expert on this kind of thing, little one. What tricks do your furry-footed people have?
Sounds good. Would we use tents or would we, use other shelter?
You use tents. Generally, what's happened is they keep bundles of poles in the vehicles, and then when they get to the oasis where they're planning on lying out under the stars, telling riddles, telling stories and doing riddle games, they sort of put these big canopies up over the tent poles. So
All right.
now that's inconvenient, of course, because the tent poles are like 10 feet long and they're built to fit into vehicles. But yes, tents of some kind are what people use.
Okay.
It
Well,
so happens you know where there are some, because there is one of the other halfling clans is camped out here in a caravanserai outside the city, and you know that they have some of these.
well, I'm certain we can bargain for them.
Okay, I didn't think that was what was going to be in your mind in terms of getting them. But okay.
By that, and by that I mean steal.
Okay, yeah. So it definitely that crosses your mind. So you guys go and. You're looking in at the caravanserai, and it's sort of a sorry about that, my dog barking. So there's sort of a low walled area that demarcates where the caravan is, and in the middle of it there is this giant vehicle. It looks like it's giant vehicle that looks like it's been constructed out of huge crab carapaces built around some kind of wooden thing. And it has got these massive crab legs coming out from the side. Only the crab legs look like they are machinery. They're iron. And so this is going to be this sort of crab thing going on. So that's in the middle there. And there are a whole bunch of these tents set up. And over on the side, Rubik points to a pile of poles and tents off in one corner and he's like, so those appear to be unguarded. And that's the point at which everyone realizes what he means by bargaining.
So I have a very important question, Matt. Is the dog barking coming from inside the caravan machines? Is it dog powered instead of hamster powered?
The dog is coming from real life inside my house.
I thought that they just had some guard dogs.
Not that you can see.
Okay.
Now,
Rubik, what are you thinking?
He's thinking that the best bargain is one that you don't ask and apologize for later.
I generally think about money, but in this case, I'm thinking that we could use one of those tents.
it's among halfling clans of the desert. This is a viable business transaction. So if there are any of the humans, or dwarf who feel like they need to interject a foreign culture into this transaction that Kevin is thinking of, now say your piece, because he's already starting to inch toward this stuff.
I don't think that's the best idea. Your little tribes are the masters of these deserts. If we anger one, maybe word gets around about us. There aren't too many of my type getting sand stuck in their beards.
Exactly my thought. I'm poor enough as it is, Rubik. You don't need to get me knocked out of any more jobs.
Okay. I actually probably have enough money left over to buy the thing, but so...
Well,
Appreciate
maybe you said that your tribes, they want this thing gone. Do you think we could just hitch a ride with them?
Well, that's a good question. Let's go find out when they're headed out.
Okay,
They're avoiding the place, but maybe.
All right, so you walk into the area.
It's closer.
There's a halfling kicked back in the middle of the place. Most of them are probably bedded down either out in the city, having a high old time in the flesh pots of the giant city, or inside the thing. So there's just this one guy out there, and he has got there's about a 10-foot long centipede sort of coiled around his chair. There are a lot of these. These are they're used as pack animals in the desert a lot. And he's kicked back on a wooden chair, smoking a pipe and just sort of keeping a general eye on the caravanserai.
Do we have a name for the leaders of these caravans? Like a moniker I would use?
You could just sort of chief would work.
Wise chief.
Hello.
I come with a solution possibly to the problem that we've been experiencing near the Great Rocks.
Oh yeah, the Great Rocks. Yeah, we were told to avoid there. We usually, tend to, stay there, but apparently something horrible happened there, and us being small and so on and so forth, horrible things. We try and stay away from horrible things, head toward, peaceful things.
Well, behold, the 3 mighty warriors I bring with me. Go with it, everyone.
I strike a pose of strength and flex my muscles a bit.
Rubik, does your Aunt Myra know that you're hanging out with people like this?
What? Of course my Aunt Myra knows. She taught me everything.
Yeah. Boy, she was something.
Oh. She was the finest halfling in the 7 cities and the best pickpocket I ever knew.
Yep. Well, I mean, mainly it was the sort of leg breaking operation that was going on in the criminal quarter for a while. But okay, so as long as your Aunt Myra approves of these people, then I'm okay with that. So what was it that you wanted to do? You wanted to actually go toward.
We were hoping we could catch a ride, perhaps, or at least borrow one of your tents, if not.
Why don't you stay in the family business like a regular person does, going off adventuring like this?
Because there's opportunity.
That's a good point. That's a good point. All right,
a chance to make friends that would make excellent future leg breakers.
All right, so
Rubik, why is it every time you say friends, your eyes do a funny thing?
What? I don't know. Maybe it's the dust. It's desert dust.
Is there something? Rubik's, is there something wrong with your eyes? I kind of look at his eyes. Is there something wrong with? Hi, how you doing? My name's Belvedere. I'm with your friend over here, Rubik's, and this are my 2 other friends, and we just, we're kind of low on money, so we're trying to find a way to get some money, and we think there's places where there's lots of money. We're gonna get the money. And, my friend Rubik, he's a really neat guy.
He is. Speaking of money,
he doesn't wear shoes.
You see this dice?
Ever.
See this dice here, Rubik?
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what. I'm going to roll this dice, if you agree. And if I roll a 6, you pay me 10 gold pieces and you get nothing. And if I roll a 1, all that you get is a tent. But if you roll a 2, 3, 4, or 5, then we'll give you a ride there. How about that?
What's life without a little bit of gambling chance?
All right, here we go. Oh, he rolls a 1. What did I say if he rolled a 1?
We get a 10.
We get a 10.
Tent, but no ride. Okay.
No ride.
But no
And
ride.
I say, all right. Go pick yourself out one of the tents from the corner there and give my good wishes to your Aunt Myra. I'll see you later. I'm busy smoking a pipe right now. And he sort of leans back and starts smoking the pipe. It's just complete. It's as if you.
Okay, how big is the tent?
All right, the tent is about a 20-foot canopy. It's square and it's got 6 10-foot long poles.
So how hard would it be for us to carry?
It's going to be a real pain. It's going to be a real pain.
Is there any way we can modify it to be a little smaller and still provide shelter?
You could cut the poles in half.
We'll try that. We just need to get out from the sun, correct?
Yes.
But we'll make the poles smaller.
Okay. So that'll work for everyone but Belvedere. And also for Ithkar. So, because you're, 5 feet, the dwarf and the halfling are both like, okay, let's cut these poles in half.
How about we cut it into... I go and... Not sure about the math of it, pointing it, and go, cut it to there.
Yeah, we'll
and I lie down next to it and make sure I can fit.
All right, so you end up with a whole bunch of 3-foot poles and 7-foot poles, and you gather these up and you throw them across your shoulder. You head out toward the thing with Brandon singing "Hi ho, it's off to work we go." And after about 2 days, probably about 3 days in the desert, tromping your way through, traveling only by night, you reach the rock sort of tor type shape that Rubik knows about, and you can see that it's got 2 entrances to it. One of them is sort of on the east, one of them is on the west. Rubik remembers that the entrance to the west immediately goes in 2 passages bifurcate. But every time that he's been here, he's been unfortunately drunk enough not really to remember exactly how it is that the corridors work on the inside. He may have some recollections of that. What do you do? These are both tunnels leading into this giant rock area.
I am going to start tracking and try and figure out where there is movement and where there isn't.
All right. There is various in and out movement into and out of both of these 2 entrances. The one that is to, you know what, I'm going to draw a compass rose on my map, which is an awesome idea because then I can handle the northwest, east, south situation.
I walked through the desert wishing for a horse and no name. I'm so poor that to my family I am ashamed. Going to our deaths like adventuring is the game. Hoping to earn riches and a modicum of fame. There,
nice.
There's my singing.
Speak for yourself. I'd just like some dinner tonight.
Oh, should probably mark my ration off.
Yeah, it's long gone.
Yeah, my 3 rations are probably, I'm down 1 or 2. How many rations do I have left?
None if you had 3.
Okay, none. Got it.
All right, so you get there. The one to the east appears to be a little bit more traveled than the one to the west.
Okay.
You can't really tell what it is that's been going in and out, though.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of bare rock here, so you're just finding, here's a little bit of, dirt here. Aha, there's something has been by here, but you're not getting it. There are no patches that are really large enough for you to get a clear read on what the footprints look like.
West is the danger. Everyone's going east, so we go west.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Lead on, Iskar.
Let me get your marching order.
I'll be hanging out in the front. I think Iskar's probably up there with me. But that way, in case there's any unusual stonework, the dwarf is near it.
Okay.
So I've got sort of Brandon and Alice. I mean, I don't think it will require any super detailed tactics of moving around, but the way that it operates is if you're using a 2-handed swinging weapon, you need a full 10-foot area standing in the middle of it in order not to hit anybody. If you have got a 1-handed swinging weapon, you need 5 feet so you can get 2 people in a 10-foot area. And if you are using all pointed weapons like spears and so on and so forth, you can get 3 people into a 10-foot area. So I've got Brandon and I've got Alice that are in the front. Then are you going with Tim in the back or Kevin in the back?
You have a preference, Tim?
Push your keybind.
I'm pretty much a melee fighter when it comes to combat, so I don't know if being in the back would be a good idea for me.
I think we're all pretty much are, except for maybe Rubik.
I don't like to fight hand to hand, or fair,
or at all.
Or at all.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it sounds like you're in the middle. Cool.
Okay.
Rubik's in the back.
All right.
I can bring it. Yeah, okay.
Oh, so Kevin's in the middle and Rubik's in the back?
Mhm.
I mean,
yeah. I'll be in the back.
those dual identity.
Rubik's in the back.
I'm everywhere. I'm a displacer halfling. All right, so Brandon and Alice are in the front, and then we've got Tim ready to step into the gap when Brandon or Alice falls, and then at the very back we've got Kevin being thiefly and sneaky. Any other preparations that you're going to do before you go into this dark area?
Light a torch.
Who said that?
Light a torch.
All right, so Tim's got a torch.
Yep. I don't have enough money for a torch, so I didn't have one. But I do have
Enough money for a torch? It's like a copper piece.
I know.
What'd you roll, 4?
Yep, I did.
Oh, okay.
What'd you roll for? Yes, I did. But I'm gonna have my
You
sword
got the
out.
okay.
And what I'm going to do also is, while I have my sword ready, I'm going to take out my one piece of chalk, and I'm going to basically, keep it handy, tuck it in my belt. Therefore, if I need to mark stuff, I'm going to have it ready. But I don't want it, tucked behind the rope in of my back at this point.
Okay.
Axe and shield out.
Okay.
And I look disdainfully at the torch.
Just
All right,
staying
so-
alert with my bow out generally.
Okay. And then Tim, you can carry a weapon but not shield, given that you've got a torch in one hand. All right. So
Axe
you.
out in one hand and a torch in the other.
Okay. So this area that you're going into, it's sort of one of those situations where it starts out wide, it begins to narrow, and then right at the narrowest point, which is probably about 20 feet across, it bifurcates into 2 tunnels. One of them leading to the north, one of them leading to the east into the stone fortifications that are there. As it narrows, there are lots of sort of glyphs and runes and things like that leading toward the inside, and then there's a spiral pattern over the top of each one of the 2 entryways. And Rubik, you know that this is just decoration. At least as far as you know, there's nothing unusual or magic about it, unless possibly it's been tampered with in some way having to do with whatever it is that took this place over.
I'd want to take a look at the runes.
Okay. So you take a look at the runes. You're originally from the Atropos Mountains to the south, which is mainly an area that was not so much taken over by the Vicinians. And so by process of elimination, the fact that you can't read these, you've got a pretty good guess that this fortress was once a Vicinian stronghold. So once again, one of those places that had the weird techno-organic, magical sort of stuff in it. You're not 100% sure because it's process of elimination, but that's your guess.
And it seems old.
And it seems old, and Alice, with your rangerly knowledge, you're able to pretty much confirm that guess as well. You've studied a little bit of Vicinian culture, a little bit of Teminoan culture, and you're pretty sure that these are going to be Vicinian runes going on here, because rangers are fairly well educated about writing and so on and so forth.
Okay.
Unlike the desert halflings, who many of whom can't read at all.
For the runes, do I know them to say anything, to actually make up any words or make up pictographs of any sort, that if I know how to decipher it?
There are some. You're able to read, this is a fish, and then there is a little picture, sort of a fishy thing underneath it, and then there's one that says, this is a centipede, and then there's a picture of a centipede on there. So you don't know if this was a commune of really stupid people or what this is all about, but they're apparently it's kind of like, these pictures of things with labels on them. It's a Kinderfort.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
That was in my head
It's-
too. Yep.
Run, centipede, run.
Actually, the other thing I was thinking of is the new Alexios commercial. What did they have before Alexa? Alexios, add this to my shopping list, and they draw toilet paper on the wall. They start chiseling toilet paper on the wall. So that's the other thing I had going through my mind is Alexios. Add this to my list. Okay.
Reduce the fire by 2 degrees. Throw the chunk of log outside the fireplace.
Yeah.
So you've got 2
Nothing to see
choices.
here.
One of them goes to the north. One of them goes over to the east. Do you tell people that this is what you're seeing on there?
No, I say,
Alice, or are you?
I say, nothing to see here. Not important.
So this is the way rangers maintain their sort of mysterious.
This is how I maintain.
atmosphere.
Yep, ranger marks. We
Right.
develop ranger marks through this kind of stuff. This is
Also,
how we
you
know
know-
to mark fish. Good fishing spot, see? Good centipede spot, good bait spot, and good fishing spot. Cool. So speaking of good fishing spot, I'm going to track and see if I can find anything, any signs of anything. Creatures or living.
The entire area appears to be traveled. I mean, this is actually the area you've already checked. There's stuff going into both of these
Okay.
areas, but it's less traveled than the ones that are over on the more eastern side
Okay.
of this. And when I say the eastern side, that is also an entrance that's going into that's going sort of in a northwesterly direction into this thing. So you've got two sort of diagonal entrances pointing, inward toward the center of this thing. No entrances are on the other sides or the back of it.
Okay. At that point, I will say, same both ways. I point to the north. Let's go that way.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. You start heading into the north, and it goes for about 10 feet. You've got Tim's torch lighting the way. He's in the second rank, so you're able to see about 20 feet in front of Brandon and Alice. Not very far at all, except that Brandon, you're able to see further what's coming up. And so if there is something very noticeable, I mean, this is sort of screwed up by the torchlight, but if there's something very noticeable up ahead, you may get some warning of it before it kills you.
Quick thing, since I, in mentioning of ranger marks, I am, as we take the path, I'm going to, in the lower corner of the wall, do a little marking with my chalk. That way, if it starts going in a circle, I'll notice it later.
Okay.
Just in case.
So you draw a little picture of a fish with the chalk?
No, I'll draw a little centipede.
Okay, so you can draw a little centipede on that way.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so you go in, it goes in 10 feet, and then there's a sort of a little alcove in the stone. This is not carved stone. This is natural. These are natural passages leading in here. So it goes for 10 feet, then it widens out into a sort of an area. So there's like a 10-foot alcove plus your 10-foot corridor, and then up ahead of that, it appears there you can't see. There's another one of these alcoves. You can't see around the corner into that, and it continues forward another 10 feet, and then it appears to open up into a large chamber.
Okay.
So you can see into the one alcove, can't see into the other alcove. Chamber ahead, what do you do?
First off, you said that this is natural stone. So
Yes.
at that point, I want to basically listen as well as do little ranger tricks like pick up a bit of dust, blow, let it kind of float off my hand, such like that. And I want to gauge where the air is flowing in from at that point, or if I can hear a source of water and such. Two important sources when you're dealing with natural stone caverns.
Okay, so you toss a little dust in the air, and it blows back rapidly right into your eyes.
Okay.
Really hard, and so you're wiping that off your face. So it's blowing quite hard out of the thing. The air is definitely cooler that's coming inside at you.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of water sources, there are occasional drips falling down onto your heads. So definitely some sort of water source where the water is cooling up above you. There's a little from Tim's torch when a drop of water falls into that.
Calderon, are we going down or up from what you feel?
What is it that I'm feeling as we're going in?
It's on the level through here. There's no slope one way or the
other. We're just staying at the same point.
There's a strong draft coming in from the direction we're going, and we're heading
It's the
towards
dragon
water.
breathing.
And we're heading towards water. So be on the lookout. Don't want to get yourself caught.
I pour out the remaining dust out of my water skin and, looking forward, since it's been a while since we got water.
Okay.
Been rationing.
I want to check. I don't know about everybody else, but I want to check out the alcove we can't see first.
So you want to pass the alcove we do see to check out the next alcove?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, alcove.
Because that was my...
Yeah.
Like, there's one on the left first, and then after we pass that, then we think that there's one opening up on the right, and then past that, the room opens up in general.
Okay, yeah.
Right, it's a pretty wide alcove to the left. You're not seeing anything that's in there. It's just sort of the shape of the stone.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
yeah.
she was playing with dust and all. I went over to just look around in that alcove and
Okay.
look for things.
Right. Yeah. There's nothing. There's nothing unusual in there in terms of dwarfiness.
Okay. Yeah, I recorded it backwards, Brandon. So thanks for correcting me. Um, yeah. So then I guess if there's nothing in the open alcove we can't see, move towards the alcove we can't.
Okay. So you do that, and your foot catches on a little string that's been laid across the area right in front of that second alcove, and your foot snags on it. And you hear a sort of jingling of bells off in the area up far ahead of you, which Brandon is able to see is some sort of wide cavern chamber, but he can't see into it enough to get any of the sort of dimensions there.
Okay.
And the alcove that you are now looking into also appears to be normal, at least to Ranger Eyes, and Brandon standing next to you as you move in also thinks that it looks normal in terms of the dwarf. You know, there are no falling block traps or anything like that. Brandon, you do notice that there is a tripwire slightly wound around Alice's ankle, though, and there are bells ringing.
Yeah.
Okay.
As my ankle hits it, Greg. Rubik,
Yeah, can I help with that?
can you get me out of this without the bells ringing more?
I'm paying attention straight ahead, waiting for, whatever might have heard.
Okay.
And I will move to help Iskar.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's just that, Alice got her foot caught
I'm just
on it, so
just
all
want to
you
get out
need to do
quietly.
is you just sort of, lift it off the edge of the shoe, and you're like, there you go.
While I'm down here, do I see any more tripwires, perhaps with more ill intent than bells? Or anything else?
You don't see anything like that. Where are you looking?
I will start on the ground and work my way up on the walls, just on the ground in front, then work my way up both walls, finally onto the ceiling.
Okay. So when you check the ceiling of the thing, you see that in front of you it's normal, but the area in between, the area directly to the south of the first alcove, in other words, you've walked past this area already, you see that there are a line of holes drilled through the stone up in the actually it's not holes, it's there's a boy, words are really failing me. There is a single long hole in the ceiling across the area that you guys have come through.
Okay.
It's about that thick, so about an inch and a half wide, and it spans the whole 10 feet of the area.
So I'll nudge Calduran and go point it out to him. That looks like bad news.
I'll get closer to it, taking a look at it, but I will not, go under it. Basically.
Okay, there are about 6 or 7 little
Crevasses?
very slight twinkles of light up there. There's some sort of pieces of metal that are up there.
I see some metal up there. You think that's a trap that these little buggers in here set?
Oh, I'm sure of it. I mean, I'm assuming we walk in there, something falls, water comes in, acid comes in, something comes in. It won't be fun, whatever it is. I mean, I don't mind. I can try. I mean, I don't mind going out. I'm just hoping to do so in a tavern, not here.
Well, Rubik, they must be guarding something cool, right? So.
Oh yeah, we're going. It's just, Belvedere, you got any ideas?
They know it's a warning device. They know that we're here, and we should be prepared for an attack.
All right.
That seems like to me. I think that they might be coming around here right now, or actually, we probably should put my shield up at this point. Get ready for any kind of incoming missile fire. What do we expect to run into in this area? What's the prevailing threat to this in this area as far as like humanoids?
Loss of life, death, No return.
I don't
The
think
standard.
I don't think mine
I
tried.
don't. I think you misunderstand the question. It's like, it's like goblins a big problem, kobolds, orcs. I mean, what's the major thing people worry about?
Around here, it's actually gnolls for the most part because it's sort of a desert, barren, blasted heath kind of area. So it's more of a kind of uh, gnoll type of area. Hyenas, gnolls, jackals, things like that around
A lot
here.
of banditry probably going on. Nomads and horses attack. That kind of
Yes,
stuff.
there's a lot
Typically,
of
that's what the gnolls do because they're lazy.
right, and
They
that's
like
and
to
that's the
raid
reason
stuff.
that the halflings, move around in these sort of semi-fortified vehicles that they can hold off gnolls without too much problem, just with the missile weapons and so on and so forth. So yeah, gnolls would generally be the risk.
So I think before we move forward, if it's possible, Rubik will try and scurry up each wall if it's near where this opening is, and jam an iron spike into each one. So if something falls, maybe it stops it, and if it doesn't, well, we had short and eventful lives.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to roll your.
Rubik, hold on a second. Rock's right out there. They already heard us. We jingled bells. Why don't we go get a heavy rock? Shove it ahead of us. Get a good momentum. Chuck it down. Maybe it springs something.
Yeah, but if we're on the other side of it and it falls, we can't get in. If we're on this side of it, we can't get out.
Only one problem with plan. It's stupid.
I didn't say that.
I'm paraphrasing what you just said, because that's basically what you just said.
Fairly interesting, but stupid.
You don't listen to that Jim there, Calderon. You're all right.
Let me also interject here that most of the players who have played in my campaigns and my convention games before are shouting a single word at the screen right now. Kim George, Alberta Chulik, Emily, Doug, Jim, I'm talking to you. They're shouting one word at the screen, and they've been doing it for about a minute now. And so I'm going to throw in the old school gaming tip here. You guys are in an area where somebody's been alerted to your presence. It's open on both sides so that you can be attacked from behind. There is another exit from this area where somebody could be coming out and getting around you, and you suspect there's a trap in the area that you're in. And so the word that everyone's been shouting at the screen, I suspect,
is go for cover. Go for the alcove that was empty.
Well, there's something more fundamental. They're yelling, "Move, move, move!"
No, by all means, yes. Because my thought as a player is to go back into that alcove, which is exactly what I was about to start telling people. But I also was delaying that actively because my stats were so bad. I'm too dumb to come up with it fast enough.
Well, here's the thing. My view on the way these things work is that it's the player. You're trying to win the game by playing skillfully. So I don't enforce any kind of rules about your character is not smart enough to do a certain thing. It's just player skill, all out. It's you against the world.
Okay, then in that case, yeah. Guys, playing around with that sounds good, but unless it's going to be fast, we should go that way. Back into that alcove where we have some defense.
Sounds good.
First or second alcove?
First alcove, the one that was empty, that was clear, that we have a wall against our backs and we can set up defensive position in.
Sounds good. She's a smart lady. Very smart. I like her. I'm sorry, are you playing a lady or a guy?
No, I'm playing a man.
Okay, sorry.
No problem.
All right, so everybody gets into that alcove. It's 10 feet across, so you can get two people blocking the mouth of the alcove. Again, that's going to be Brandon and Alice?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys block that off.
Before we block that off, though, on the way back, you said you had some spikes with you?
Yeah, not like call shops, like big iron spikes.
Big iron spikes.
Great. Can we get some put out here? Can we just drive some in really quick on our way back?
I only got 4, but yeah.
That'll take about 5 minutes to get those.
Okay, they're really huge. Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody got caltrops?
Nope.
Okay. Anybody got anything small and spiky?
This conversation's all taking place outside the alcove, right?
As we're moving. I basically
Okay.
want to try and throw something in our trail. So if anybody has anything spiky and can slow them down to throw in our trail, that's what I'm looking for. But it sounds like nope, so we're heading back.
And
And
for a
gonna get
moment, a shadow sort of crosses over because it's sunlight on the outside. Something has just moved in between the, sort of across the entrance to the thing. And you hear a sort of crash against the floor, and someone has thrown a couple of bottles into the area next to you, which have broken, and apparently some sort of water has spilled out across the entryway in front of you guys.
Okay.
Are we sitting in the water or just in front of us?
No, actually, you managed to avoid the splash from the water. So you're in the alcove. This stuff landed in the sort of cave corridor that the alcove breaks off of.
Okay.
Uh,
Uh,
we're gonna be trapped in here by fire real soon.
yeah. Assuming this is flammable.
Yeah.
So,
Which direction do those things come from?
The exit.
Well, move that way to confront it or move into the room. Your guys' call. I'll follow.
I say move into the room.
Okay.
We need to find a defensible position. Choke point.
I agree.
Limit
Right.
how many can come at us. If it's 2 on
But
2,
quick-
it's different than
quick-
10 on 2.
Quickly, so we avoid the incoming torch.
We move.
Okay. All right. So you guys move. So across, you go into the corridor. You cross past that second alcove. You go into the large room that really only Brandon knows is there. It's about 60 feet long from the northwest down to the southeast. There are three. There are two true exits from the room. Brandon, you're able to see. Everyone else is sort of within the relatively small 30-foot diameter of light that Tim's torch is throwing out. There is a third sort of exit from the area that looks like it's a fairly short corridor. And at the end of that corridor is a large hyena-type looking creature with a bow who shoots twice at you guys. And the first roll is a 17. That's against Alice. And Brandon,
Okay.
you're attacked also with a 13.
Are we going AC up or AC down, by the way?
We're going descending armor class.
Okay.
So higher is better. So for example, your ranger wearing the leather armor is, I think, going to be armor class 8 without a shield.
Correct. I'm an AC 8 because I have a negative dex.
Okay. So it needs a 9 to hit you. So it definitely put an arrow into you, and you take 2 hit points of damage. And Brandon, what is your armor class? The descending
4.
one? Okay, you're AC 4.
Or 3, sorry. Yeah.
3, okay. So it's going to need a 14 to hit you. It missed you, but Alice, you are hit by an arrow. You've taken 2 hit points of damage. The thing is there at the end. Let's talk about how we're going to do the initiative. Let me find out in order of what y'all's dexterities are. Who's got the... and I'm just going to count down here. Let me know when I hit your number. 18, 17, 16, 15, 14...
16.
15?
No, 16.
16. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. 15, 14, 13,
13.
12, 13. And I'm really just writing down the order in which this happens here. So 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6,
7.
6.
7.
7.
All right. So,
No, not the lowest, not the slowest one.
okay. And so, all right, Brandon, what was yours again?
13.
All right, and Tim, what was yours? 7, right?
7.
Okay, and Alice is 6. All right, so it's going in 6 and 4, so it's going in 10. So
Quick question,
Kevin,
Matt.
yes,
Alertness did nothing for me here, right? The fact that
no,
it's
it did
hard
not,
to jump
because
in.
and the
Okay.
reason is that you guys were basically like, oh my God, we're trapped in this thing. We've got oil coming down. We have to move quickly.
Yep. Totally
Before
get that.
the oil gets ignited. So you were moving in. Your alertness does. You know what? You are a ranger. I had forgotten
Yes.
about that. Let's
Yes.
see. Maybe you can get out of that if I roll anything other than a
one.
1,
Yep.
you are not going to be surprised.
Yep.
So let's hope I don't roll another 1 like I did with the halfling and the caravanserai. And I didn't. I rolled a 3. So you don't get hit by that arrow. You guys turn. You see the thing that's there. Kevin and Brandon, you guys both are quick enough to react before it's able to shoot. Then it's going to go, then Tim, and then Alice. Kevin, what do you do?
Do I see any cover I can get to?
Nope.
All right, then I will. Just
Well, yes, you do. I mean, there's Brandon and Alice.
There's Iskar, a big.
Well, they're coming ahead of me anyway. I will put myself against a wall so I can't be easily flanked, and however many arrows I can loose out of my will.
And you had your bow in hand. You were
Yep.
ready. Go ahead and shoot. 2d20. Rate of fire is 2.
Okay, and what do I add? Just +2 to hit?
Yeah.
Okay. For 16 dex and being a halfling, right?
Yep.
Okay. So the first one is a 12, and the second one is a 14 with my pluses.
Okay.
Alertness is one of the primary reasons I chose Ranger in the end.
Yep. No, and I'm glad you reminded me, because I had in mind, I had fighter in my head, and then but you're absolutely right. So the 14's a hit. Roll damage.
No, just straight die 6, no damage bonus.
Correct.
4.
Okay. So it's hurt, but it's still standing. Brandon, what do you do?
I'm gonna basically charge on over at it.
Okay, so you're able to charge forward and get it. Well, actually, all right. So here's the thing about the initiative. Actually, we're going to use the phased system.
So missiles is first.
Right. So we're gonna go ahead around and do missile spells and turning, and then we're gonna do movement and melee, whichever one you're able to do. So does anybody else? So it's gonna shoot next with the missiles, because Brandon, you don't have a missile weapon out. So this time it rolls an 11, it misses you, and then to hit Alice, it rolls an 18. You're out of luck, Alice.
No
We're gonna re-roll now and find out how much that arrow does. It does 1 though, so you're in good shape.
Cool.
In terms of how you were, you take 1 point of damage. Now we're going to go around for the movement and the melee. So Kevin, you can actually, because this is a phased system, you've shot your arrows. You can still actually move, try and hide in shadows, whatever it is that you want to do, because you're not prohibited. With
Hiding in shadows sounds like a great plan.
All right, so you're going to hide in shadows. What is your percentage?
My percentage in shadows is 20.
Okay, so you don't know whether you've hidden in shadows, but you shot your bow, and then you sort of move into the darker area in the flickering of Tim's torch. This it's still the only light source that's in here, because the gnoll, like Brandon, can see in the dark. So so you melt away over to the side. It does not move from where it is. Tim, it's you. What do you do?
I charge up I'll drop my torch. Actually, no, I'll charge forth with my torch, because I'll probably still need light. And I'll tackle with my battle axe.
Okay. Roll the hit. All right, so you move up into melee combat. You're not also able to attack in the round, but you've moved up, and now you've officially got it in melee, which is going to stop it from being able to use that bow. Alice, what do you do?
I'm going to try and charge it.
Okay. You're able to do that. It's a wide enough area that you're able to take your place next to Tim. The two of you guys are ready to go in combat. It switches out its bow for its weapon, which is a wicked iron-looking mace that it raises above its head. Kevin, what do you do?
Or back to me. I will shoot it again.
Okay,
Oh,
now
no, I'm not in melee. Sorry. All right.
well, you can. However, you've got to get it right in that little pathway right between where Tim and Alice are, and you're totally sure you can do that.
No, I'm not. I'm not going to do it. My nickname is not Friendly Fire, so we're not going to do that.
Okay. You're really sure? Yeah, okay. All right, so all right, so you see, since you decide not to shoot, you see that there is another one of these figures coming from the northernmost hallway, and it's sort of moving up sideways. You can only barely see it because now Tim's gone down a little sort of hallway to get to this one. So you're just seeing a very, very shadowy kind of figure moving up. But it appears not to be noticing you because it's positioning itself to try and get behind everybody else. So your hide in shadows appears to be working.
Well, then I will position to be behind it.
All right, so as it's moving up, you move along the thing, and you're able to get behind it. You won't be able to do anything quite yet, but you're all set now for your backstab. Brandon, what do you do?
So I'm in melee with the gnoll that did shoot us, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll take a swing at it with the axe.
Okay. Roll the hit.
So that is a 16 on the die.
That's going to be a hit.
Modified 16. So,
yep.
Alright, so that will be D8 plus 1 from the battle axe, 6 damage.
Okay. All right, that's a solid hit, given that it's already been wounded once. It's not down yet, but it's looking very distressed about that. Now it goes before Tim, so it takes a. It's just been attacked by this little dwarf guy and really hurt, so he's gonna drop all focus on anyone else except for you, Brandon. And he leans back and he takes a mighty swing down toward you, and Tim just raises his battle axe and clunks the thing out of the way before it gets anywhere near to where you are. Then Tim, it's you. What do you do?
Keep mine.
Hit it.
All right,
Back
roll the
at
hit.
And that's 14.
That's a hit. Roll damage.
All right. Four points of damage.
Okay, so it's not. Oh, it's very, very badly wounded, but it's not quite all the way dead. Alice.
So I wiped the blood that the two of their battle axes sprayed all over my face off my face.
Yeah, there's axes.
Yeah,
there's
axes going
all
everywhere.
over the place here.
And there's
Yeah.
blood spraying all over my face. So I wipe the blood from my eyes. I spit out the taste of gnoll blood, and I'm gonna whack it with my bastard sword.
Swords enter the combat now.
Yep, I hit a 13 is my die.
What would that be in the descending armor class?
Well, I rolled a 13 on my die.
Oh, you rolled a 13.
Yes.
Okay, that's a miss.
Yeah.
All right, so
Blood. There's too much blood in my eyes.
it's true. All right, so Kevin, we're back up to the top of the round, and the gnoll that you are right behind pulls back the bow. You see him zeroing in on Brandon's back. You're right behind him, weapon in hand. It's all on you, man. What do you do?
Well, I will attack this thing.
All right, so this is a backstab. So you've got a +4 to hit, and if you hit, it's going to do double damage. Roll to hit.
So I'm assuming so would I take the sword out to do this, or could I backstab at range? I should have checked that.
You have to backstab using your sword, but you've been able to
Yeah.
get that out, no problem.
Here he goes, +4 to hit. You say I got no other plus hit because I'm not all that strong. However, the +4 gets me to a 16.
And that would so you jam the sword, two-handed, pushing downward. Roll your damage.
Right in between the shoulder blades.
Oh, 5 doubled is 10.
Okay, so you catch it right between the shoulder blades. It slumps down, sliding off of your sword. As it dies, it releases the arrow. The arrow shoots out toward Brandon's back. It shoots past Brandon. Roll to hit with the gnoll's arrow, because if you hit, you're going to hit the other gnoll. It went through you guys with the range attack. So see if you get a 2 for here.
I'll give that one to Brandon. He was the one getting the missed.
All right, Brandon, you go ahead and roll.
We've got a 6, a big 6 on the die.
So it shoots past both Brandon and the other gnoll and hits in the back. So all of you fighters who just downed the gnoll, you're being attacked from behind. You turn around and there's Rubik standing in the back, just dimly visible in the torchlight with a dead gnoll in front of him. What do you do?
Good show. Is this guy down? The gnoll that we were engaged with, did he go down in the end? Because I thought he was still standing.
That's right. He was still standing.
Yes.
He's in bad shape. He's got 2 hit points. So you glance back over at it. You see that Rubik is standing there, and it takes the opportunity to attack. It's thrown off by the incoming arrow from the dead one. It swings. It misses. Brandon, what do you do?
Take another swipe at it with the battle axe.
Okay.
Damn you, just die, you filthy dog. And that's totally not going to be a hit.
All right, Tim.
T-bind.
Hold the key down.
I did.
Oh,
19.
19.
19. All right. Roll damage. Roll better than a 1. Okay. So
8 points of damage.
You cut him down as this arrow shoots by the side, throws him off. Brandon swings and misses. You're able to zero in on him, and you take him down with the thump of the battle axe. And right at that moment, you hear a sort of clunk from the entryway where you guys originally entered.
Okay.
But you have killed these 2 that were out here.
We heading further in?
Look back towards that entryway. Did the gate drop?
Yep. I'm guessing.
Yep, it's a portcullis. You guys didn't have time. Kevin was going to jam it. You didn't have time to, which was a good thing because there were clearly some outside that set the thing off, and so you're now trapped in here.
So now
I'm
we're
gonna take the bow and the arrow off the gnoll.
Okay.
And all the rest of the arrows, so I have a free bow and arrow.
You do. It is a longbow. You've got 20 arrows. You've got there are 2 longbows, total of 40 arrows that are there. The mace is too heavy to be wielded by a regular human. Let me see. What else? Each one of them is carrying probably about 10 gold pieces worth of valuable junk of various types.
I'm going to take the junk because the junk can be useful.
Yeah, and they also each have some sort of meat jerky that
taking the meat jerky
would be a week's worth of rations.
While they're paying attention to the bodies, I'm paying attention to the exits and trying to get a better idea of this room. You said it was like about 60 foot across.
Yeah, it's about 60 feet. It's a cavern again, so it's irregular. It's about 60 feet from northwest to southeast. There are 2 corridors leading out. One of them is the one that the gnoll came down, the one that Kevin killed. There's another one that appears to go for about 30 feet, kind of to the northeast, and then it ends in a sharp wall that appears to be masonry. And the one that you've been fighting back here in this sort of defensive niche also ends just in a flat wall of masonry.
Okay. So
I'm gonna take strips from my clothing or something and wrap up our ranger's wounds from the damages he's taken.
Okay.
It doesn't bleed out.
It's just a scratch. It'll be okay. But thank you.
When you're first level, just a scratch is a third of your hit points. So yeah.
I'm grabbing extra arrows, and where a more established fighter might do the flick of the blade, get the blood off thing. He's rubbing it on gnoll fur and looking uncomfortable.
All right.
Since we're near one of these, the hallway that he was in, I'm gonna go and just kind of walk down a little bit and look at the way and just see if it is actually a dead end, or if there's anything noteworthy down there.
All right. So that's one of these corridors. The one the gnoll came down is, we're going to call it leads due north. One of them leads northeast. And then the one that this gnoll was in we're gonna call southeast. Okay. So I take it the one that you're gonna walk up is the northeast one.
Because we were by the southeast one, right?
You were in the southeast one, which was where the gnoll was.
Yeah, I figured. Well, they're just doing that. I take a quick look in that one.
Okay, the southeast one, as far as you can tell, doesn't have anything unusual about it. Now, as a dwarf, you don't have the ability to
To
just
find secret
spot
doors or
secret
anything like
doors
that.
unless you actually check for them. So just letting you know that.
Yeah. I will just kind of do a quick search. I'm not going to be loudly tapping on walls. We're worried about other gnolls, but just see if anything jumps out at me as I do a quick search while they're looting.
Okay, nothing jumps out at you while they're looting.
Okay.
Now, where I have you guys, so I've got Brandon sort of down in this corridor, checking the wall. I've got Tim down in that corridor, looting bodies. I've got everybody but Kevin. Kevin, you're sort of in the middle of the cavern, okay? And you're still sort of standing there over your knoll. You see another shape sort of move for a moment because the brightest source of light here is still outside. This torch is down in that far corner, so you know that anything that's outside is probably not very easily seeing inside because it's they're in the light, you're in the dark. You see a shape sort of cross across. It's got that same sort of tall, hunched over, pointed ear, backward bending joints on the legs. It sort of moves across. It seems to have a bow, and it just moves from one side to the other, looking in, waiting for some sort of light to move on the inside.
Sniper.
I will quietly warn everyone.
Okay.
So they see it too.
Well, they're all completely out of sight, sort of, because from the perspective of this gnoll archer that's outside, they're around a corner.
Oh, okay.
Down in this little corridor, but you're standing in the middle of the area, basically directly in front of this, where your guy came to and then tried to shoot. But you're effectively invisible.
All right. I will attempt to quietly move forward and see if he's inside, outside the portcullis, if I got a shot at him or not.
Right at the moment, you don't have a shot, but you're able to tell that he's outside the portcullis.
Okay. In that case, I will just take note that he's there and join everyone else, and let them know that he's out there.
Okay.
I don't want to expose myself to a shot unnecessarily.
Right. A second later, a torch is tossed through the portcullis, ignites the oil that's in the inside. The oil begins to burn, and you now know that anybody crossing this cavern is going to now be visible to that archer who's out there.
Okay. So can I stick to the walls?
Yeah, you're good. You were going
Okay.
over to warn them. You've moved outside of the area. You sort of see this happen, and you're like, oh crap, and then you're able to go and warn people. So
how wide is this room that we're in?
It's about 30 feet across. So it's roughly 60 by 30. It's just an irregular shape.
So we should be able to, if sticking to the walls, stay out of their immediate line of sight type thing.
You're gonna absolutely be able to stay out of the line of sight for the hallway that leads off to the northeast. You're gonna have to cross about a 20-foot zone of fire to get to the one that leads due north. But that would be an option if you wanted to cross over that.
Gotcha. And the due north is the one that we think that actually leaves this area.
Well, yes. I mean, there's a flat wall that appears to be blocking off the one to the northeast, but you're already searching for secret doors. There may be something that's there. You're fully aware that there might be something.
For as soon as I see the fire lighting up, I'm going to grab the bow, the extra bow, since there were two bows, and he grabbed the other bow. I'm going to grab the trinkets and grab the other bow, and I'm going to basically tumble my way to the nearest wall.
Okay, so you're going to FBI roll out across the field of fire.
Yeah, I just want to basically stay low. Because if I'm below the fire line, below the fire burning, it's going to be harder to shoot me.
Yeah, and there's shifting shadows inside, so I'm going to give him only one shot, and I'm going to do it at a -4 to hit.
Okay.
All right, and your armor class is, again, what, 8?
8.
Okay. You may not be the one who wants to be testing whether or not someone can get hit, but we'll go ahead and roll. It's going to need a 9 to hit you, which means it's going to actually need a 13 to hit you on the die. Yeah, so you totally catch it by surprise. It does shoot an arrow into the area. You don't even know where the arrow went. It was nowhere at all near you. You're now up against the cavern's western wall, outside of the line of fire. Everybody else is on the far side
Okay.
from you. You're able to look up the northern corridor. You really wish you had infravision because it's completely dark. You have no idea what's up there.
Okay. Can someone toss me a torch?
Here you go.
I'm gonna grab one of the 7-foot poles that we've got.
Yep.
And I'm gonna use part of my rope, tie the gnoll body up to it, and I'm going to basically go over towards where the portcullis is, and kind of wave him around to give cover to other people crossing the room.
Okay,
I
so
totally
you're walking your dead gnoll forward, saying, "Here I go. I'm going to leave the complex now. I'm a gnoll. Just hi, fellow gnolls."
If they're looking for movement and such, that's what they're going to see, and it'll be closer. And I'm going to be, like I said, 7-foot pole, so hiding, still behind cover, but trying to give some cover to these guys when they
Sure.
cross.
Absolutely.
I know Rubik might not need any help, but Belvedere.
When I see that they're moving to cross towards me, I'm going to instead basically take the corner of the, where the doorway is, just have my back against the wall right next to the open corridor, and have my sword ready, and just have my back against it and taking cover, waiting for my team.
All right, so there is no door. What it is just like a corridor, so you're
yeah.
actually very easily able to get yourself placed. You can't be looking down the corridor, but you can attack anything that comes out of it from behind.
Great, that's exactly what I want to do.
You're doing this sort of, I'm up against the wall,
Yep.
Ready to get you. Okay, so you set yourself up that way. Brandon, you march forward with your gnoll. Immediately, a couple of arrows thunk into the dead gnoll when that happens.
As soon as one thunks, I move.
Okay, so there's the thunk. Off you go, halfling wildfire over to the far side. Tim, you doing the same thing?
Yeah, sounds good. Bingo. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So all of you guys are able to get to the thing. So Brandon, you can't see what's going on because you've got gnoll in front of you, then fire, then apparently some sort of archer on the far side with a portcullis in between you. What do you do?
I will go ahead and lean him against the portcullis on the pole, basically, and jiggle him a little bit and see if I can get any more arrows. If one comes, at that point, I'm going to sprint across.
One does not come, but the gnolls are fairly large, so just by propping him up on the outside, you're basically blocking off almost all missile fire unless somebody goes right up to it and shoots around the side. Any sort of distance is going to mess them up. All right, so you're just able to sort of dwarf run. Okay. All right, so you dwarf run on the short stubby legs all the way up to join everybody. You are all now out of the field of fire. You've got this corridor going to the north. What do you do? Brandon, you're now able to look down there, and also you've thrown the torch over to Alice. You're able to look down there. It goes about 30 feet to the north. Apparently, again, Brandon, there's no unusual stonework or anything like that. But then there's a door.
Okay. And I'll go ahead and tell him that there's a door 30 feet ahead.
Well, they're actually able to see 30 feet because that's just at the very edge of the kind of flickering torchlight. They're able to see that there is a door blocking that area.
Okay.
And you can get to it safely. You're able to move up and start looking at the door. What do you do?
I'm going to actually try.
Hey, short pants. Do you want to check stuff?
Oh, absolutely.
Hold on. Yeah. Check for traps. Remember what happened last time?
I want to try and track
wires and everything.
Call. While
Floor,
he's checking
wall,
for traps.
ceiling, door. Like I'm moving forward carefully, doing that round scan as I go.
Okay.
Since you guys need light in the front, why don't you all head up? I'll be back guard.
While Rubik, I'm going to let Rubik take some lead, but I'm going to basically try and be tracking and trying to avoid where he's walking, but trying to track to see if I can get an idea of how many gnolls have come through this area. Okay. Gnolls are my favorite enemy and all.
Your guess is that there's probably a maximum number of 6 gnolls that have passed through here. You can definitely identify that there are 4, and then your guess is there are probably another, maybe 2. But maybe that's part of the 4. You can't be much surer than that.
They have 4 to 6 amongst them, barely outnumbering us.
Well, at this point, that's probably more like 2 to 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now question: do they see us, or we just see them?
No. I'm tracking and telling you guys that there are 4 to 6 that were traveling this area, so now 2 to 4 unaccounted for. So we can expect to be attacked by 2 to 4 more.
And you know that one of them at least is waiting outside that portcullis for you guys.
Yep.
All right. So where I've got it is I've now got Alice and Tim up next to the door, guarding the door. I've got Brandon checking back to make sure that you guys aren't attacked from behind, and I've got Kevin sort of checking the door. You said you were going to go floor, walls, ceiling. Floor does not appear to have anything unusual about it. Walls don't have anything unusual. Ceiling doesn't have anything unusual. Door itself has the hinges are on the inside. This is a defensive door that would have to be broken inward, and there is a doorknob.
All right, so I don't know what I'm scanning it for traps. I don't know how that works here, but I want to make sure it's not.
Okay. The area that would be trapped would be the doorknob here, because you've visually checked everything else.
Okay, then
and I didn't describe any sort of triggers or anything like that would be there. You can still do a remove traps on the doorknob to make sure that it's not that it doesn't have any sort of internal wiring or anything like that would set something off. So that's where I need to get your delicate tasks number, and I'll roll the percentage for that.
Delicate task number is a 20.
Okay. So you take out your little lockpick, you slide it in the thing. It goes a little bit, then the dust makes you sneeze, and the thing just sort of jiggles around on the inside, and you're like, all right, no trap.
We're fine. It's fine. I will also, and just to go back to the dungeoneering of my youth, listen at the door.
Okay. What's your listen number?
My hear noise is 3 out of 6. Or hear sounds, sorry.
Okay, you don't hear anything.
All right, so I said, don't hear anything. I don't think it's trapped. Do you want me to try and pick the lock or find out if it's a lock?
It's not locked. You know that from the little exploration thing.
Then I will back up and let one of my very large friends open the door.
All your friends but Brandon are very large.
He's large to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
Tim's
still
next
bigger.
to me. He's the fighter. I wave him on through.
All right, Tim, roll a d6.
Gnoll's very dangerous. You go first.
We can't hear you. You have to hold the key bind.
I know. I'm the only one that has to do that because I'm so terrible with this. I rolled a 2.
Okay, so that'll do it. So the door, is given that this is moisture-laden air in here and very dry outside, the doors stick quite a bit. But without too much difficulty, you're able to push it open. It's not locked. You go almost in, and then you realize that there's a very steep set of stairs going down here, and then turning toward the left as they go down. Very short steps, very big risers going down. And you can even look down just with the torch and see that there's another door down at the bottom of the stairs.
Okay. Okay. Dave, check for traps along the stairway.
Yep. If called upon, absolutely. I will be keeping an eye.
All right, and you are using your standard operating procedure of floor, walls, ceiling?
Yep, that's how I tend to go.
Okay. You get down to the door. There are no issues there. Brandon, I'm also going to assume that you peek in and just make sure that none of those things, stairs pushes down and releases, poisonous gas or anything like that. You get down to the door at the bottom, Kevin. You check it. You don't see anything abnormal about it. Are you going to do your delicate tasks on the doorknob?
I prepare my dust of opening again, and I go for it.
Okay. You're pretty sure that you screwed the roll up, but it once again doesn't appear to be trapped. Tim, you going to open the door again? Here's how this works: is that when you try, if it doesn't open, you've alerted whatever might be on the other side. Is the reason for the whole stuck.
Rolled a 2.
Thing. Okay, so you push the door open. You enter into a 10-foot. It's 10 feet east-west. about 30 feet north-south, just a sort of an antechamber area. There is another door. It's in the eastern side of the room. It's just further north than the one that you're coming into, also on the eastern wall. So there's sort of 10 feet. Then there's another door on the side. Now the western wall, the one that you're directly looking at, appears to be hung with a really nice rubric. This is fairly nice tapestry of halfling weave that your guess is probably worth at least 100 gold pieces. This is part of the leftover stuff that's normally here with whatever happened to the halflings that were in here.
Okay, but it looks large and heavy, does it not?
Very large and very heavy, but it's the kind of thing that you would want to take with you when you go or something like that.
Yeah, perfect. So yeah, not now, but once we're safely on our way out.
Okay. You go ahead and enter the room.
I'm
Again?
gonna follow him in.
Let's
Again,
go.
quick scan for
Kevin,
traps.
Kevin hasn't said that he's walking into that room yet.
No,
He's like, what?
no, yeah. I'd say a quick scan for traps,
Okay.
because I don't trust anything in here. Like, look around again, and then I will. Then once I'm sure it's clear, then I always like to let my large and more burly friends go before me.
All right, let me just still point out, Brandon, with you bringing in the rear guard, your dwarf abilities are not being used to check the stonework in the areas you all are going into.
Yep.
Well, should we move you up front then?
If you want to, I was just figuring you guys all needed the torch.
Well, the torch will give us light forward and behind, will it not?
I
Yeah,
prefer
so-
him in front of me. Last
Okay.
time, yeah.
Hey, I'm all good with being in the front. Let's go.
All right, so Alice
and-
moves to the back. Brandon moves to the front.
Here, get on my shield like a dinner plate.
All right, Brandon, you're able to tell that there's nothing unusual about the room. You're able to go up to there's nothing remarkable in here. It's an antechamber. There is the one other entrance in there, and there is some writing over the top of the door.
Does it look like the same kind of writing as what was outside?
You don't know. You don't really understand. The writing outside, as far as you know, is some sort of ranger glyphs that Alice told you were, mysterious ranger glyphs, ranger secret.
And nothing important. Move along.
All right. So now there are two people here who might have a chance to interpret what this stuff says. One of them is Alice using ranger knowledge, and one of them is Kevin using thief knowledge. Thief knowledge at this point is not too great, Kevin. So your chance is not good. Alice, yours is better.
Awesome.
Roll me a percentage dice, Alice. You want to get 10% or lower.
Oh dear. Okay.
Your first level.
Yeah, I know. Nope, I got a 54, so not happening.
All right, Kevin,
Oh.
try and roll 5 or lower.
71.
Okay, so yeah, as far as you guys know, it's gibberish.
Oh,
Can I
they
try?
want chicken.
Can I try?
To understand it,
What percent?
you don't have any specialized skills to do that, so you've got a 2% chance. But go ahead and roll it. Brandon?
No, sorry.
I was already told it was gibberish to me.
No, I said, and I told you guys that they're talking about chicken.
Brandon,
Seems
you want to
reasonable
roll
to
your?
me.
Let's roll your 2%. See if these are Vicinian runes that you have encountered before.
Nope, 55.
All right, so there's this door. You know that Brandon's not seen anything unusual about it. Kevin's checked the floor, the walls, the ceiling, and the door doesn't see anything that looks like a trap. You guys can go ahead and open the door.
So, how big is this room, and is this the only exit other than the stairs that we came down to get?
Yes,
here?
this is actually a sort of an entrance room of some kind. It's 10 feet east-west. It's 30 feet north-south. You're coming into the southernmost portion of the east wall, and this other door that you're looking at is in the northernmost portion of the east wall.
Okay. I'm willing to give it the old college try.
Okay.
Rubik said it's clear, so roll in a d6.
D6.
I'm going to have my back up against the wall of the hallway when he's doing the door.
Okay. Strength-wise, Brandon, what's your chance to open a door?
16. So my chance. Let me get my character sheet.
I think on a
back
3
up.
you're going to get it. Just
There. Open doors 1 to 3.
1 to
I think
3.
it
All right.
says.
So yeah, you open it, and you push it open. And your guess, now that you see what's in the room, it's about 30 feet east-west. It has a curving back to it. When you look inside, you realize that probably the nature of the runes that are on the outside of the door are something along the lines of dangerous materials storage, because there are several casks in there, but one of them you immediately are able to spot bears the dwarven rune for dynamite.
Okay. And is there exits in this room?
There are no other exits in the room. There's just Tim standing right behind you with his torch, leaning into the room to see what it is that's in there.
I close the door
Not
most
anymore.
of the way.
I might have an intelligence of 8, but I'm not that stupid. Let's step out of the room with the certain death in there. Okay.
And
I wonder what this does.
I look at them and I'm like, there's valuable but dangerous things in there. One of them goes boom, especially if exposed to fire.
Can we use it? Do you know how? Do you know how?
Yeah, fire. Also, basically, if you jostle it too hard, if you mistreat it, if the wind blows wrong, it's kind of volatile.
Can we use it to
Like my
break
last
open the
girlfriend.
portcullis?
Well, sure,
My
but we could probably lift that. Just the guy on the other side taking pot shots at us is what's giving us a problem.
Would it be faster to use this? Doesn't sound like we can carry it back to town. It's too volatile, right?
You know, on our backs? No. Get a good wagon?
Yeah, it's not that big. I mean, it's a cask. Well, okay, so at least my hands don't fit into the screen. It's big enough that this is a meaningless gesture to show how big it is. We're going to roll back. It's about that big.
Okay.
We could sell it.
Bigger than a bread box.
You can sell it. You can sell it.
We can sell it. Get a lot of money for the gunpowder.
Yeah, your guess
by the way,
is...
kudos for having. Thank you for having gunpowder in a fantasy game. I never understand why nobody wants that.
It's the most wonderful tool to give players to kill their characters.
Mm-hmm. All we need now is a rabbit and a ginger with anger management issues.
And a Holocaust cloak.
Yeah.
Oh.
But
right, so you're sitting. So you're sitting there outside the room with your cask of dynamite. You've got the still some fire burning out at the entrance with a gnoll archer who's waiting for somebody to poke their head up. A couple of dead gnolls in the room behind you, and as far as you know, this is as far as you can get.
Yeah, so that was going to be my question. We have seen nothing else. So
can you find a
guys,
door in the walls?
Were those bells loud enough that they would have rung over to the other side? Because it sounded like we had moved in, for a ways, and so when that trap was triggered to ring bells, it doesn't seem like they would have heard it in that other cave immediately.
I don't think it would have been loud enough. It's a long distance that way.
Well, here's the thing. You guys have not actually found the bells.
Oh, we just found a chord that it was on. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, the bells
maybe.
were ringing.
Okay. Then in that case, change it to maybe. I haven't seen the bell. It could be pretty big.
There's only one place that you guys haven't checked, and that's that corridor leading up to the north east that ends in a flat wall.
So time to go that way. Let's leave the dynamite here and get it on our way out.
How much other stuff was in that room, by the way?
There were about 4 other casks of various things.
Okay. There's like 4 other things. Do you want me to take a quick look at them?
Yeah,
And
anything
see?
I can drink. I'm thirsty.
I'll go into the room without the torch and
Okay.
just, take a quick and careful cursory glance at things
Okay.
for.
The other 3 casks, one of them contains some sort of deserty spice type of things, which you know that Rubik would be able to identify. I said one of those, right?
Yep.
And then there are 2 that contain some sort of liquid. You're thirsty. You want to take a drink?
No. Does the liquid have any symbols on the outside?
Yes, acid.
Universal symbol for acid.
Yep.
All right.
Well, a lot of people do actually use dwarven runes as universal symbols for stuff like this. So.
Oh, awesome.
Acme.
Right, exactly. The dwarves are the Acme Corporation of the world.
The runes look great.
So I will grab. I don't have anything to hold it. So yeah, I'll just I'll come out and tell them what I found. 2 things of acid, something with some sort of spice. It looks like, and then the dynamite.
Spice. Ooh.
Yeah, I think maybe Rubik might know it.
I'm just trying to figure out why they're storing spice with acid and dynamite.
Gnolls are crazy people. Maybe it's a Saturday night for them.
Okay.
Well, this probably wasn't gnolls. This is probably the halflings that used to be here.
Okay.
What kind of spice, Rubik? Can you figure that out?
You got to bring it back out. You got to bring it out of the chamber.
I'd have to see it.
I didn't know if it was going to be blown up, but it didn't seem stuff that I was familiar with.
So you bring it out, and Rubik, once it's been brought out into the room and you take a look at it, this is a mildly, it's a mild hallucinogen.
Okay.
And so it's worth probably about 250 gold pieces for this barrel, but it is something, and it's a sort of a dust that has a mildly hallucinogenic effect. So I mean, even when you just lift off the top to take a look in it, you are seeing like little lizard heads pop up and going back down, but you know what that is.
The colors.
It's halfling peyote.
Matt?
Yep.
Is there like small little pebbles and dust and rubble, like little bits that we can get, like little bits of dust and rubble and rock, like really fine around here in the
dust is easy. Little rocks, not so much without actually going outside. They don't leave rocks lying around. Dust,
okay.
Yes.
The other thing I have a question about is in the storage room, do they have any straw? Okay.
They don't try and store flammables with the dynamite.
But you said that we have 3-foot sticks that we're not using, right? Us?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay. Hey, Rubik. So.
Well, I thought you were just getting all ready to cut the product. You're a natural.
No, Rubik. I saw these toys from these travelers a while ago. I'm wondering if you and your little delicate little hands can make something like this, because we can use it. So they would take a piece of cloth, which you can rip some of my sash off, but take some cloth, and I don't know the ratio, so that would be up to you. But you take a little bit of sawdust, which we can create with that wooden stick over there, make some dust, and then you take a little bit of dirt and rubble, something for friction, and then you put a little bit of gunpowder in, and you put a little bit of whatever that hallucinogen is in it. You put it together, and then you throw it something, and when it makes impact, it makes a pop sound, and you can, if you make it big enough, you can make them hurt.
It's an interesting idea, but I make my living with these right here, and I wish to keep them.
Oh, come on, I risked my leg for you. You can risk your hands.
I mean, Alice, you could go ahead and try and construct a hallucinogenic bomb if you want to.
Okay.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a halfling who does that.
Cool. I will try and do that.
Okay.
I don't know the
What are
ratio,
you-
so I'm gonna have
What
to
are
be
you?
careful.
What are you using? Well, you just throw in some gunpowder,
For the
some
container,
of the hallucinogenic dust.
like I said, I'm going to be using. I'm going to rip off a piece. Basically, take my sash off and start ripping the cloth up into little
Okay.
satchels of.
All right,
to make
so
satchels.
you're able to make a strip of cloth.
Mhm.
You roll you sort of cover it all the way along with your mixture of gunpowder and hallucinogenic dust, and then you wrap it around the 3-foot thing, and then you've basically got a potato masher grenade
Mhm.
where you can use the stick to throw it,
Mhm.
and the only thing that you're going to need is that you're going to have some sort of ignition device as well,
Okie dokie.
because this is not something that you would want to light while it was anywhere near you.
Okay, cool.
Oh.
It's
you wanna
based
talk
off
about
the
that.
idea is based off those little poppers. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but little pieces
Yeah.
of paper. Yeah. So
Yeah, no, the thing is that you can only
I'm
can
making
only
a
do
giant
this.
version. Yep.
You can do this in a much larger
Oh, yeah.
scale than that is
No.
what you're limited to. So
Yep.
what you've got is something that will simply
Yeah, we'll light it. We have fire.
blow up. It's large enough to blow out a door and then send hallucinogenic gas through
Sounds
the area.
good to me.
That's not bad.
Yep. No, that's exactly what I want to build.
And so we've got the situation where you guys have a case of dynamite that is, well, actually, it's all sort of out now. I guess, Alice, you've been bringing it in a little bit at a time, the dynamite, to do that. So the bomb that you've made is going to use up about 1/10 of the gunpowder. It's going to use up about 1/10 of the hallucinogenic dust. So you could make 10 of these bombs, but you're also using up monetary value by doing that. So you've got 1/10 of that loaded into your hallucinogen bomb.
Okay.
Right now, you don't know how to get out other than by attacking the portcullis. You do have one corridor that you have not checked out the blank wall.
Mhm.
What do you do?
Well, I think we should head down that corridor and make sure that our dwarf is in front so he can search for a way out for us.
Sounds good.
Sounds like a plan.
At this point, my tracking seems like I've gotten us all the information that we need. We know how the numbers we're against, and I can alertness us from the middle of the group or back of the group.
When we get back to that big room, is the fire still going?
No, it's burned out at this point.
Okay. I want to wait for a little while and see if we see that shadow moving or not out there.
You do not. Which doesn't mean it's not there, but you don't see it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm good with moving across the room slowly, carefully to basically try and see if there is something out there. And then if they shoot, the others can easily run past me as I go.
Okay. So you move out into the room. You head toward that corridor. Now, in that corridor, you see what looks like a kind of an undulating carpet on the floor made out of bluish light. This
What's
is just
that?
Brandon.
Oh,
well,
sorry.
you don't see it. This is just Brandon scouting out ahead.
Apologize.
Okay.
I apologize.
Does this ring any bells to me? Not getting closer to it.
Nope.
Grab small stones, pebbles type things around.
Nope.
Okay. Whoever's next in line, I'm going. I think it's the halfling's been hanging out with me.
Yeah, I've got you and Alice in the front rank.
I think we modified that later on that we were having Rurik check for traps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've moved up.
Rubik's
I've moved up to keep an eye for traps now.
Okay. All right. So Rubik, you move up. There's the corridor. There's the blank wall.
I point over to that and I'm like, "Do you see that?"
Do I?
He's pointing at the floor. So yeah, you see the floor.
Yep. There's a floor there.
It's not moving.
Is it?
No.
Nope. Nope. It's floor.
I look over at I look back at Ishkar. I'm like, did you get me high on hallucinogens?
Maybe. I don't know. Do you taste fudge where there is no fudge?
What does the shadow taste like?
Um. And is this only in the center of the room?
It's gone now.
I kind of look around looking for it in the room for a minute.
No,
I don't know. It was moving. It was blue, kind of luminescent. All right. I kind of get my game face back on and, continue with my plan after, having decided that the guy's not out there moving anymore, at least.
Okay. Who's walking into the corridor?
I am going to walk into part of the corridor to slowly, carefully shield in front of me to try and see if he's going to shoot me or not.
I'm edging along the wall.
I thought we'd already crossed over and we were.
Yeah, you're past the field of fire that you would have. You're looking into the northeast corridor that goes down. In fact, you're a little ways down it already toward the wall.
Yeah.
So
okay.
You haven't had any bow fire or anything like that. So you're in a safe area in terms of the gnoll on the outside.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm going to be back guard at this point with it where everybody else is, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my back. Am I not back guard, Brandon?
No, Iskar, see if you can find footprints again.
Okay, I will do that.
Okay.
And Rurik, make certain that Iskar stays safe.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm going to come up and do track again.
Okay, so you're not finding anything with the tracks. Tim, you're the one keeping the back guard. Everything seems normal except for the little fish that occasionally pop up through the floor and then go back under the floor and then swim back and then pop out of the floor again.
I saw that too.
No, this is Brandon was describing a carpet. You're seeing little fish.
Did you see that?
Something back there?
I just saw a fish.
Nobody sees the fish.
Only I see the fish.
Yep. Cute little fish.
I'm going to try and grab a fish.
Oh, you sort of hurt your fingers because you smack them into the stone on the floor.
Ow, the fish. What's going on here?
You're willing to conclude at this point that opening that cask of hallucinogenic dust has caused some minor problems. Okay. You go up and you check the wall. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys the chance to find a secret door since what you're going up there is tracking. Alice, you don't find one. However, Kevin, when you are checking that blank wall, you find that there is there's a recessed lever in there that probably that is in some way related to a secret door. You can see the outline of the door when you check it. With fingers you're able to tell by feel, and there's a lever next to it.
All right. And there's still a corridor ahead of us?
No, this is in the blank wall.
Okay.
There's a completely carved flat wall here, which is very different from the sort of rough stone areas that you've been going through, and it's in that which points directly due east, and it's a flat wall.
Okay. Well, once I'm sure it's not, trapped to explode or anything, or shoot poison darts at me, or.
Well, I mean, the only thing that you know for sure is that it's not going to drop a big block of stone, because that's something that Brandon would know about. But it could, do something nasty if you pull it.
All right, and there's no way for me to check to know for sure.
No, but I mean, everything that you've seen through here appears to be just normal. It's intended for people to be moving back and forth, so you can pretty much conclude that this lever is not a trap.
I will still give them a stand back just in case.
Okay.
So, if something bad happens, it's only my tiny little behind that fries. and I will open it.
Okay. You pull down on the lever.
Before he
and,
does that, I call out, "Don't forget to watch your fingers."
All right, so you pull down the lever, and the door opens inward toward you guys, and something that was blocking the door is also sliding outward and pivoting to allow you entrance into a large room. It's about 30 feet by 30 feet. There is a door in the middle of the south wall. There are some stairs that lead up in the middle of the east wall. And you can tell that they go up into some kind of room up at the top of the stairs. I mean, it's not a long staircase. It's just an elevation change in it. But you can't see into that room because of the stairs being there.
How big is this room?
30 by 30. You're entering into the middle of the room's
west wall.
Do I hear anything going on up the stairs?
No, you don't.
Okay. All right, where two guys up the stairs or into the? Well, I guess we have to enter the room first. But where do you want to go?
I want to search for tracks to figure out, basically, once we enter the room, where there's more traffic going up or the other path.
It all appears to be going up those stairs.
Okay. Does it look like the same number of people or creatures, or does it look like more or less?
About the same.
Okay. All of them went that way.
Somebody told me we had like 7-foot balls.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna tap each step before we hit it to see, make sure there isn't something that's gonna like drop out on us or anything like that.
Okay. So you're able to do that and move safely up to the top of the stairs, where you find that there is another 30 by 30 room. Once again, you're entering into the middle of the west wall of the room. There is a door in the middle of the north wall. There is, in the southernmost portion of the east wall, there is another set of stairs leading back down again. Again, small. In the middle of the southern wall, once again, there is another little set of stairs going down, but you see that those end in a door. And so, basically, for some reason, this entire room is higher than everything that's around it. And so that's what you see in that room. As far as you can tell, it's empty.
And I'm gonna track again and try and figure out which way the creatures went.
Most of the movement in here is no, it's about the same. All four of these have pretty much the same sort of movement,
Sure.
Through this room.
Yep.
Although that makes this room sort of a it's kind of a crossroads type of room, obviously, because people are coming into here and moving to various other doors. So it's roughly a central type of room.
One thing I did want to ask before we actually started climbing the stairs. So I'm gonna at this point, I guess, bring it up since people started climbing. So I didn't find any tracks the other path. You guys sure we shouldn't take a look at that first? I guess we're already up here.
Well, we can go back down, right? We want to finish up.
I mean, I'm itching to kill some gnolls. I hate those things.
I point to the door that she's talking about and the southern door in this room, and I'm like, those two head out. These head deeper.
I think we might want to head deeper. We're here to look for things, right? Heading out doesn't seem the right way yet.
Yeah.
But I am going to at that
There's
point.
still one outside.
Yeah, I'm gonna at that point take my chalk, and I'm gonna do a little ranger's mark on the two doors he says leads out, so that way when we come back we have a better idea. So I'm gonna mark the two doors that.
I'm not sure what you mean by out. That you don't have any evidence that any of these are exits from.
No, but
Elevation.
directionally, that the south is the way that we came from.
No, you're entering this room from the west.
Yeah, but when we initially came in, the bifurcated path.
That points generally in the direction of where the bifurcated path would be. But
yeah, it might be a dead end, but that is heads in the same direction we're heading out.
It's the general direction of the way that you came in, And then, of course, and by the same token, the one to the east is in the general direction of the more easterly entrance that's in the southeast of the thing.
Yeah, and by all means, it could lead to a dead end or it could lead to a secret door, but we know that that is the direction of where we came from and therefore potential exit. That's what I'm going to mark, why I'm going to mark those 2 doors.
Okay. So they're marked.
Awesome. And then we're going to go deeper in, it sounds like. Did we want to go and deal with the space that they didn't travel first, though?
If you want to, let's do
Yeah,
it.
sure.
Let's go
Let's
check
do
it
it.
out. Okay. So yeah, let's go down to the areas that downstairs spot where they were not traveling down.
Okay, so you go back into the room that's entered by the secret door. You've got the door that's in the middle of the southern wall of that room, which is the one that doesn't appear to have any tracks going to it. Kevin checks floor, walls, ceiling. Brandon checks to make sure that there's not a stone block that is going to fall anywhere. Door appears normal. Who's going to open it?
I'm fine with opening it.
All right, roll a d6.
Nobody else wants to. 5.
Okay, so you try and force the door. It makes a loud sort of noise, doesn't open, will have alerted anything that's on the inside.
Okay. Let me give it a shot then. I'll go over and I'll try and shoulder it open since it's been loud already.
Okay, roll a d6.
1!
Okay, so you're able to force that open. What's on the far side of the door is a room that is 20 feet from east to west. You're entering into the westernmost 10 by 10 segment of that. And then the room proceeds for 40 feet to the south. So it's 10, 20, 30. It's 20 by 40 room. There is a door in the south wall, eastern side, leading out. And that appears to be... I'm sorry, and then there is also a door in the eastern wall, also in the southern section. So those 2 doors, they're right at the 2 sides of the...
You just said eastern. The first thing you said was south wall, eastern side door. So do you mean western
And
side?
then the
also has a door?
eastern wall, south side.
Ah,
Right,
okay.
one-
Eastern
So you have
wall.
2
Got it.
doors right next to each other, basically.
Got it.
Right, so there's one in the south wall,
kitty
eastern
corner.
side, and one in the east wall, southern side. So they are on 2 faces of a corner
Yep.
leading
Kitty
out.
corner. Awesome. Okay, cool.
Now, there is in this room, in the middle of the west wall, there is a dais made out of stone, the 2 steps leading up, and then on the top of that dais, there is a statue of a it's one of the halfling desert gods. It's got 4 arms pointing in the that represent the 4 directions of the wind. Rubik, you're really familiar. In fact, you vaguely remember being in this room at one point. However, it looks different than the times that you've been there before. There are sort of piles of various just junk in there, making up 6 different kind of nests in the area that something roughly the size of a gnoll could certainly sleep on.
All right.
Wait, he's in here now?
There are no gnolls in here now. There's just these sort of nest
And
things. Although one of them appears to suddenly move a little bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at those disgusted, and I say, don't get near those.
tracking around near it, do I see any movement?
You see tracks of what look like giant rats.
Okay. Rat infested. They're rat
If that's
infested.
all that they're infested with, then we're lucky.
Let's try and give them a wide berth.
You can burn them if you want.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
If you're good with that, I'm good with that. It'll probably make a stink in here. I'm gonna check the air flow before we burn. I don't want us smothered in here, So I'm gonna check the airflow, make certain there's a good draft, and then burn based on that.
Yeah, there's a fairly strong southern draft.
Okay. Yeah, it's safe to burn. Air's coming in
And-
from the south.
And Matt,
From the north. From the
Oh,
north.
from the north.
heading-
Sorry. Yeah, from the north.
do I think that the area behind this dais with the halfling god lines up with that alcove that we fought the first gnoll at?
It might be, or it might be a little bit to the. Oh, you're a dwarf. No, it doesn't quite line up.
Okay.
Which is why I'm letting him map, because he's literally the dwarf.
Yep.
Low to the ground all the time.
Okay, so Brandon, however, when you do sort of eyeball that, the statue winks at you.
I look at your god and I start having a conversation. I don't like you that way.
Whereas I'm
You
considering.
at least
the-
have to buy him. You at least have to buy him a few drinks first.
I'm assuming this would be a valuable thing to recover for my people. Under the
Well, you
concept
will
of-
basically you will have recovered it if you're able to get the gnolls fleshed out of this area, because
All right,
then
we
it'll
won't-
come back into use.
Perfect. Okay, that's good. All right, then I will have my, when they're getting ready to burn this out, I will have my bow drawn and ready to shoot any rats that come at my friends.
Okay, so you set the fire and you get this oily, stinking smoke coming out of these things, just sort of, crawls along the floor almost, rather than rising to the ceiling, and it starts going under the crack in the door to the south, blowing down in there. There are a couple of giant rats that run out of the thing. There are two of them. So Kevin, you were ready for that, so you can go ahead and roll to hit. There are two of these guys.
Okay, can I wait and see if I hit the first one and then take a shot at the second, or do I got to put two into one?
You got to put two into one or one into each.
I'll put two into one to be safe.
Okay.
Oh, I rolled exceptionally well. Modified 19 and 16.
Those are both hits. Roll.
2 ones, a total of 2.
All right. And it being a giant rat, you kill it. However, the other one is still on the move. Let me find out what its dex is. 3, 7. So, Brandon, you're going to have a chance to go before the rat. Tim and Alice, you guys are too slow to do anything. Brandon, you don't have a missile weapon out, correct?
Nope.
So you can move into melee and block it off in melee if you want to.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So you move into melee, Tim. Then you move into melee. It bites you, or attempts to. 15. Your armor class is like 3, right?
Yeah.
So really good. So it rolls a 15. It still doesn't manage to hit you. It needs a 16. So you sort of step in. You're like, bad rat, block off, and it like gnaws at your boot. So at the moment, it's got its teeth sunk into your boot, and you're sort of shaking your boot like this to get it off. Tim, what are you going to do about that whole situation?
Well, damn! I don't want to hack with my axe because it might take off his foot.
It might.
I'm gonna grab the rat, try to rip it apart, squeeze it, and break it.
All right, roll to hit.
$14 total.
All right, that's going to be a hit. So you've got it. It being a giant rat, it's a little bit larger than a chihuahua here, but you're able to grab it. And you can smash it against a wall. So roll damage. Let's call it 1 to 4. And then, do you have a strength bonus as well?
No, just to hit.
Okay. So roll 1d4 points of damage.
1 massive bone crushing point of damage.
Okay. Well, that might be enough. Let's see. Ooh. Okay. No, this is actually a really big, experienced-looking rat. Now that you're unfortunately getting a look at it, it's got like one lop ear, and it's got sort of a gray muzzle, and it's got scars on it. Alice, what do you do?
Well, I'm going to basically try and, since he's got a good hold of it at this point, I'm going to try and basically grab it by its head, since,
Okay.
I've got that support, and I'll try and just drive my sword through it.
Okay. This is a whole lot of sharp, pointy objects
I
right near.
rolled a 17.
All right, so you're able to slice right in next to where Tim's
Tim's hand and my foot is.
Yeah.
For 7 points of damage.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, that's that's something out of a kung fu movie right there. So you got hand here, boot here, and you're like right down the middle between the two of them. Wham!
She's been watching me play Assassin's Creed.
Cuts it right in half. And so Brandon, you and Tim sort of fall backward in two different directions once you no longer have a rat holding the two of you guys together. And everyone splays out in the middle with the filthy, oily, choking smoke wafting into your nostrils, and it smells like victory.
That is the worst smell of victory I've ever had, but I'll take it.
I look over at the halfling goddess and I go, "You're welcome."
Okay. This time it doesn't respond. It looks like a completely normal statue.
See, I can aim when I don't have blood in my eyes.
All I know is rats don't surf.
By the way, I do not want
You said
barbecued
that, I
rat.
had to go there.
Yeah, you didn't. You did. Yeah, that's right. Victory and it almost napalm. Yeah.
And Rubik, I do not want barbecued rat for dinner.
Okay.
Food snob.
By the time I'm done with it, it won't taste like barbecued rat. I gotta.
It'll taste like barbecued possum.
The halflings have all kinds of recipes for desert rat.
Okay. So let's go in the south. Open the door. Well,
Okay, so there's a whoosh of air as you open that door, and all of the oily smoke blows out into a corridor leading to the south. It's 30 feet long, and it curves slightly toward the southwest, and it goes on as far out of sight. However, we are now rolling to see, as that happens, the torch blows out.
ooh, that is a big blow of wind. With my rangerness, can I figure out what is likely to be causing such a big air tunnel of draft?
Just air moving through this thing. There are two entrances into the area, and your guess is that this is just a draft. It's pulling in one door and pushing out the other one.
Does it mean, though, to me that there's an easy access to either door?
You would have to be close to the you would have to be close to an exit for that much to build up behind that door. Yeah.
Okay. I think we're close to exit again here. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so much air.
And you guys are indeed able to go forward down the corridor, slightly backlit. Do you have another light source, or is Brandon going to have to do this?
Do we have another torch, Tim?
I think he said he had 10 torches.
All right. So
I have another torch.
All right. So you guys are able to move down it, and you discover, oh yes, this is that second corridor that went in through that bifurcated area.
Okay.
Okay. So it leads back out. Well, we have our way out. Let's go deeper then.
And you said it was 6 nests, right?
Said what, Kevin?
It was 6 nests.
nests.
Yes.
Yeah, there were 6 nests in there.
That means we need to get 4 more gnolls.
Which my tracking would verify also, because I've commented that there were a total of 6 moving around in here.
All right. Also, Alice, you're seeing a slightly glowing yellow bird sitting on the top of Kevin's head. I'm just letting you know.
I go, hold still.
All
Try
right,
and
so
grab
Alice,
it. Over
You're
his
just
head.
somehow never able to catch it. It just sort of hops out of the way or moves to the side.
Hold still.
So you're clapping your head over Kevin's. You're clapping your hands over Kevin's head several times.
Yep.
Everyone's watching you, perplexed.
Rubik, is there another trip cord for the bells?
Yeah, we'll check that.
All right. When you check it, there is indeed.
Hey, Rubik,
I
can
will
you
make-
track where it goes?
All right. Hang on.
Yeah.
In that temple was where you found several large bells.
Okay.
That's where those are.
Okay.
So you have actually solved that part of it. There are several bells in
Okay,
the
cool.
temple area.
Then in the temple area, we're going to take the bells.
Okay.
or at least take them down.
Yeah.
I don't know how big they are,
Yeah,
but if they're big enough to,
they're fairly big and weighty.
Okay,
So, but
take
yeah,
them
you
down.
can take them down so that they won't be activated anymore. Okay.
Or we could just, I would say, or I could just cut the wire.
Yeah, I mean, should see the wires going to the bells. So
Yeah,
can
but we
cut
don't know
those,
how
yeah.
many there are, and we don't know if they'll catch.
no, but at the bells you would
Oh,
see.
Yeah, at the
oh, that's
actual
true.
bells.
Yeah, at the bells, yes.
Well,
Cut the
whatever
wires,
wires are on the
yes.
bells, we're going to cut them.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Good. So that's Kevin. You take out your little wire cutters that you got in your handy dandy thieves kit. You're able to cut all of those wires, and you're able to verify that yes, indeed, you've caught all of them. This trap is disabled. You will not. These bells cannot be rung, other than by hitting them with something in here.
But I wanted to take the bells off for one reason, so I'm going to ask Rubik, do these bells belong to the halflings before the gnolls?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, never mind then.
Of course, gnolls. It occurs to you, Rubik, gnolls could have stolen those and taken them completely off the premises before y'all got here.
Okay.
Just a thought.
Just a thought. All right. Filed away.
Okay. All right, so you've got the door that's in the eastern wall of the temple, and then you've got that sort of central room that had the 4 exits, north, south, east, and west, although you came in from the west.
I think we're taking the door in the temple, right, guys?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah,
the closest
that'd be
to our way out, and so
Okay,
Yeah,
so
because
you
we gotta make an escape plan quickly.
Yeah.
that turns out not to be very profitable because it leads to a 10-foot long little corridor that intersects with a corridor going north-south, and that north-south corridor ends in a door. And Brandon, since you're a dwarf, you're able to tell this is going to line up precisely with the door that was in the southern wall of the central room.
gotcha.
All right, so you've just found another way back to that central room. Shortcut, basically, out of the temple.
So do I tell them where we are? Basically, is that we're at the chamber of the crossroads?
You've now narrowed down your options to the north door out of the crossroads room and the east door out of the crossroads room, or the eastern stairs leading down out of the crossroads room.
I think we take stairs, not a door, right, guys?
Yes, stairs.
Sounds good.
Okay, so you go down those stairs. They lead down only about a 10-foot elevation change into a 20 by 30 room. Excuse me, sorry. They're coming into a 20 by 40 room. You're entering into you're coming in through the west wall of that room. It's in the southernmost portion of that west wall. There is a door in the center of the east wall leading out, and there are shelves all around this room, which have got large water jugs on them, ceramic, sort of painted nicely. Rubik, you notice that they're divided into groups where there are several of them that would belong to one halfling clan, several of them that would belong to another halfling clan. They basically just have their own place for storing water, apparently, in here. So so that's all that this is a water storage room.
Are they safe to drink? Is there any water left?
There's no water in any of them,
Okay.
but Rubik knows that they are used for water.
Does there appear to be any other exit from this room?
Yeah, there's a door in the middle of the eastern wall.
Okay. And are we coming in on the 20 side or the 40 side?
You're coming in on the 40
40.
side, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Based on my
in
notes.
the southernmost part of the 40-foot wall.
I'm not mapping, but I'm trying to take notes and trying to keep track best I can.
Yeah, I mean, counting from west to east, those 3 rooms, the one that was the one that had the entrance into it, and then the central room, and then this room, they all basically pretty much line up into a rectangle.
So
Yeah, so actually this is only it's only 30 feet north south, come to think of it.
okay.
Okay.
The map that I have does not have grid lines on it. I should say also that I printed, for anyone who is curious about it, I printed this map off of a site called Wizardry, only 1D, that was put together by a Swords and Wizardry fan who worked with a bunch of mappers, Dyson Logos, Glenn Jupp, Stuart Robertson, Stoneworks, Rises Monkey, they several people put together little geomorphs basically, and Wizardon put this together into a thing that assembles the geomorphs. So it's at if you would have to actually search for Wizard Dawn to find it.
I found it already, and I'll make sure to include it in the description below.
Okay. All right, awesome.
And we found your book for the setting as well. Brandon did, and I'll be including that in the description below.
As well as Swords of Jordoba, which is I guess audio stuff.
Ooh.
So
yes, there are some audio. Actually, that's on a on my YouTube channel.
Oh, okay.
Which I don't know if I've ever sent a link, but I'll send a link to the YouTube
I
channel.
found your YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, so
we'll have it all down in the description for viewers.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
And the YouTube channel, I'm not still doing adventures on there. I did a bunch of those, and then they changed the technology when they killed Google Hangouts, and it became a real pain to try and do something like what we're doing here, because Alice is working behind the scenes, keeping this working on OBS, which none of us is seeing the fact that she's doing all of that work in the background. But
I don't mean to volunteer her, but I'm quite certain that if you want to come back, she'll continue to do behind the scenes work to allow you to tell stories for us.
Yes.
Well, when you see the way I was doing those videos, you'll see the difficulty of it, because I was using a camera to move around, terrain, so that you'd be seeing what was in front of you from a mini's eye view. So it's a fair amount of interaction with the person who's doing the streaming, which is why I may start doing it again. But we
can certainly set up something in OBS so that you can actually be drawing the dungeon as well. Currently, the viewers are not seeing the dungeon; it's just mind's eye and notes, by all means.
Right.
But yeah, I can work with you and help you get stuff set up if you want. Anytime.
So let's talk about that later, and let's get some gnolls killed.
Absolutely. Yes. In fact, let's do one more thing. If I'm going to hold up for the people who are watching a copy of this map, and Alice, once you are done, well, actually, I'll do that right at the end of the thing, and then Alice, if you cut and paste, you could actually put the map at the beginning, so that the people who are.
If you give me the map later, I can overlay it into our program entirely. Don't worry about
that. How about as a segment of video, because I don't have it electronically.
Okay. I can do that as long as you can give me.
Because
we'll worry about that later.
Because you're just that awesome.
Thanks.
Well, because people may be wanting to follow along with this whole thing. So if they've actually got a thing where they can, here's my screen where the map is, they can follow it. But anyway, we'll move on. You guys are standing in the crossroads room. You're looking. You got. I know you're not in the crossroads room. You're in the water storage room. There's one door leading out, or you can go into the door that's in the middle of the crossroads room. Those are your two options as far as you know. What do you do?
I think we're continuing on this way, right, guys?
That sounds like the way it is for me. Let me double check my notes. Yeah, we're continuing this way.
I trust your dwarfy instincts.
I just want to nix out, this path is done, that path is done.
Yeah, and then because we're almost done clearing this path based on my notes, and once we do, we know that we have an exit, and then we can go back and start going around and deeper in. So, sounds good to me.
Which one is it that you're going? North door or east?
The door in the water room.
The door in the water room, which I believe is the east door, based on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Water door is east door, right?
Yeah, yes, okay. That's correct.
All
right, so Kevin, you check it. You don't see anything unusual. Brandon, you check it. You don't see anything unusual. The stoneworks. Who's opening the door?
I think that's they've had me opening doors.
All right, roll a d6.
Okay. 4. So another fail on open doors, if that's needed.
All right, so you guys are able to continue working at it. You've already alerted anything that's on the far side. Obviously, eventually you're going to be able to force the thing open. So you force it open. You see a 30-foot corridor that then opens out into a room. And at the far side of that corridor, standing in the entrance to the room, is a gnoll. He has a bow. Alice, your avoiding surprise thing does not work because you've been warned, the people who are there.
No problem.
They're all set up with their bow. They shoot once at Brandon and roll a 6, and so that arrow does not hit. They shoot again at Brandon. They roll a 13. You've got your best armor class fighter out in the front there. The gnolls' tricky little ambush has apparently failed, and you have succeeded. We go to the top. Nobody had missile weapons ready, Kevin. So we'll go back top to you. You want to move or retreat or stand where you are?
Am I currently in the line of fire?
You certainly could be shot at, although you are behind Brandon. I've got Alice and Brandon in the front rank. So
Okay.
no, you're not likely to get shot at.
All right, then I will unsheath I just take out my bow.
Okay.
And press myself against the wall.
All right.
Getting ready to duck for the shadows if need be when I can move.
Okay, Brandon, moving.
So 30 feet, and then there's like 2 gnolls that are firing at us, or is it just one?
Just one.
Just one? I start heading up towards him.
Okay, so you're able to close that distance and get into melee combat with him. He's not in the corridor. He's standing about 10 feet into the room. So if you close with him, you will be entering into the room.
Okay. I close most of the way and I check the room ahead of me before I break that. So if that means that I'm stopping right there and not quite getting to him.
All right, so you stop, you don't quite get to him. You see that he's back a little bit and doing the same trick that Alice was using before. There is a gnoll standing with his back to the wall, just to the side of the door, waiting for somebody to charge all the way in like you just chose not to do, in which case he would have been able to attack you from behind. So you skid to a stop just in the right place. You don't fall into the trap. It is going to put you into combat with the 2 of them. Neither one of them will be attacking you from behind.
I call out on the position of the guy that I spot.
Okay. Now, you have moved into melee. It is now their segment. They can fight, so they are going to attack you. The first one switches out his bow for a weapon. He misses you. The one that was to the side also misses. In fact, the 2 of them get the weapons in the way. It was because they didn't have them quite ready to draw out and fight like that. They roll a 3 and a 2. Tim, what do you do?
Push talk.
Good thing. Talk button.
Charge forward with my action shield.
Okay, so now you're side by side with Brandon. Each of you are using weapons. That means that, Alice, you've been blocked out of getting into this combat. What do you do?
Well, what kind of maneuvers can I do to try and basically go under, slide myself underneath their legs and such like that in this?
You could totally just head up there, first base slide right between the 2 of them.
Yep, that's what I kind of want to do, because what I'm envisioning is I'm going to run up, have my bastard sword in front of me in both hands, and I'm going to basically, first base slide down underneath and bring my blade up from underneath, and try and cleave, between the legs, up the gnoll underneath it.
All right, so here's what we're going to do if you decide to do that. You're going to roll a d20.
Okay.
And if you get under or equal to your dexterity,
okay,
that's going to work.
Okay.
If you roll over your dexterity, the kind of disaster that might happen will.
1!
Okay. So it's perfect. It's absolute perfection. So Brandon, you skid to a stop. Tim, you move up. You guys clang like that. All of a sudden, Alice comes sliding right between the 2 of you guys, sword raised. Pulls out the slide. You get an attack on the one. Given the fact that you did an unusual approach to that, we're going to go ahead and give you both the move and the attack.
Okay.
Since it was sort of all part of one thing.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
Roll to hit on the gnoll.
Nat 20.
All right. So
Nat 20.
It's
bipolar
the perfect
dice.
It's the perfect attack. All right. So you come in, skid between the 2 of them. You hit. We're going to say that because of your built-up momentum, that you're going to go ahead and be able to do double damage, because it would have been a disaster if you had failed that dex check. You would have knocked over both Brandon and Tim. So just to give you an idea of the kind of thing that I was talking about there, it would have been very bad. You roll a natural 1 to keep under the thing. You roll a natural 20 hit. We're going to go ahead and give you double damage. What do you roll?
I rolled a 5 on my die, so 10 damage.
Okay, let's take a look.
I shoved it up his groin, apparently.
That's a 6 and a 1. It was a 7 hit point gnoll. All right, so the two of you guys, you're up. You go to stop, do the fighting, and then Alice just skids on by, holding the sword up as she goes, rams it through the stomach of the gnoll, which does actually stop her forward momentum. But the gnoll is dead. The one gnoll that was standing to the side of the thing, he clearly figures y'all had a trap working here, because this is a slingshot. There's y'all activated a human bladed slingshot from the side. He turns to run. So Tim, you're going to get one free attack on him as he heads for the hills. He wants nothing else to do with this place. So roll to hit.
Shoot. I rolled a 7 total.
Okay, so that's a miss. He is running to the south. There is a door to the south. Being that he's pretty big, he just blows right through that door and heads on down to the south. Kevin, what do you do? You're still in the other room at this point. You are looking at this with stunned awe as
that's just the way we drew it up with the bottle caps and the pieces of glass before we went in.
Right. So yeah, it's Alice has gone in there. She has slid in between the two of them, and then she has apparently exploded her bomb, because there's an enormous flurry of color and waving little hallucinogenic things moving around in there, and that's what you're seeing.
Okay, I will. Yeah. So, but I saw the little peel off down the side.
No, just hallucinogenic colors.
All right, I will enjoy the show for the moment.
Okay. All right. So Brandon, you're not seeing hallucinogenic colors. Noel's just pelted on down to the south. What do you do?
How big's the room? Are there other exits?
There's only the exit to the south. It's about 30 by 30, roughly.
All right. I run up to the door. I want to at least see where he's running.
Okay. He's running out. You can see that this corridor goes 40 feet to the south, and then it basically heads out through that southeastern exit. So there is one more little turn that goes back into the complex over there, but this is also one of the ways out. This one, similar to the other one, this one was one that came in and then bifurcated. So you're coming into the northern fork of that little entrance.
Gotcha.
Right. And he is on his way out the door. You see him fleeing out into the desert. Wile E. Coyote looking gnoll. Legs spinning around in a circle on his way out. Leaving a rooster tail of dust behind him.
He's going to be bigger and faster than me in the desert, and that's also much more of a native environment for him. So he can have it.
Okay, so that's what you see. So now you've got this one. So there's your north door, and then there is this other one. Now, Rubik, you suddenly remember that the stuff down that corridor is really basically just all living and storage space. So it's not going to have anything particularly interesting in there. The only area that you would really need to search out at this point for the one remaining gnoll is that northern door in the crossroads room.
All right. So I'm sure that's where we head then.
Okay.
Okay.
And I gotta say, in a lot of modern systems, bipolar dice always suck. And so this is so nice because, you roll the 1 followed by the 20 or the 20 followed by the 1, and it's always such a disappointment. But here it's like, oh my gosh, bipolar dice. So, Rubik tells us we have a spot to go.
Yep.
Yep.
There's just that northern door left really to explore.
Awesome. Let's go.
Okay. So you do your check on the door for traps. You do your dwarven check. Now on your dwarven check, there is a stone block above the door that appears like it might in some way move.
Okay. I point that out to Rubik. I don't trust that.
All right. I give it a once over.
All right, so you're able to look in there, and you're like, yeah, there is some sort of trigger mechanism involved with this rock. And so you sort of fiddle around and you find a little wire that leads out from behind the rock, and you trace it over and down to the down to the bottom of the door. And there, once you're looking there, you're able to find that there is it seems to terminate in a very small, almost button-shaped area that somebody would not be stepping on if they went through the door. So you've got this very small button-like area, or you've got the rest of the door.
So it's a trap. The rest of the door seems more dangerous. So how much space do I have from the button area to the block? How far is that? Like,
oh, quite a bit. The button area is down on the floor.
So what I mean
you traced the wire. I don't know. It's about 5 feet away.
Okay.
Or even no, because it's almost directly underneath the block.
Yeah. So
the wire goes down. So really, what your question here is whether this button is the disarm mechanism,
yes,
or if it's a pressure plate that if you step on it, instant death.
It feels to me like the disarm mechanism, because they wouldn't put it there if it was the pressure plate, because no one would ever trigger it.
I mean, you could if you stepped in the wrong place, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not in the center of the door.
Yeah, it's not in the center of the door. Regardless, I will take one of our 7-foot poles.
Okay.
Or $1.25 quarterstaff, and I will standing back from the. I don't want to be under the block, is what I'm trying to avoid. But if I have to be, he had a short but exciting life. He will try.
You're able to get pretty much to the side to where you can do that without standing
directly. And then he'll try and hit it, hoping it is the disarm mechanism.
Okay, you push it down, and the rock makes a little ka-chunk.
Okay. And it doesn't move.
Nope.
All right. Let us proceed and hope I am right.
Okay, Brandon, you going to step under your stone and open the door?
Sure.
Okay.
I trust Rubik.
Before he steps, before he goes out, I would like to rope him.
Okay.
And be watching the ceiling, and if it starts to fall, I'm going to pull him back as hard as I can. I'll get Tim to help me because he's bigger and stronger than I am.
You might have some chance, very small chance of yanking him out before he's jello.
Yeah, but it makes me feel better about it if it fails.
That works.
You might end up with a boulder on a rope.
Yeah. Okay.
Should we give you some hallucinogen so that if you do die, it'll be a pleasant death?
He's already taken hallucinogens. You guys have figured out that pretty much all of you have taken some hallucinogens.
Yeah, but just give him a bigger dose so that it's a euphoric death.
Sure, smell the bomb. The bomb's got a lot of hallucinogenic dust. I mean,
smell the bomb. You'll believe you're dying in a tavern, which is what you wanted to do.
No, that was him.
Oh, that was Tim. That's right.
No, it was Kevin.
You ever look at your hand?
My hands are huge. They can touch everything.
I wonder if
except
only there are 2 of them. It's like, wow, there's like a finger, a finger, a finger, a finger, and what is this? It goes everywhere.
And I'm actually not mimicking the hallucination. I've got a mosquito hawk in the house that I'm trying to grab. That's actual reality. At least I think there is one. But okay, so Brandon, you're going to roll a d6 to open the door, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, I got a 1.
Okay, so you open the door. The rock does not move at all up at the top there. Trap has been successfully disarmed by figuring out that it had to be a disarm mechanism rather than a pressure plate over there. There is a corridor. It goes 20 feet forward, and then it opens up into a natural cavern where you can hear the movement of water rushing in there. That cavern is about 60 feet east-west. It sort of comes from an underground river to a pool. Directly across from you is an enormous rune on the wall that you're looking straight at,
Hey,
Brandon.
Calderon, what does that say?
Is it one that I understand, or is it some of these Visanians runes?
So, Alice,
Mhm.
Alice,
Yes.
you're the only one who knows what this is.
Ooh, what does it say?
Fish.
Oh, it's a fishing hole here. Not my fault they're obsessed with chickens and fish.
All right, now,
This
however,
time I'm telling the total truth.
yeah, that's right, Tim. You're even seeing that there might be some fish in here, and you're just totally like, I'm not falling for that again. Also in here, there are 6 halflings that appear to have been chained to the wall, probably to be held for ransom or something like that. And they raise a cheer as you guys come through, and they realize that you are not actually gnolls. You have successfully flushed out the gnoll population that was in here, rescued the halflings. You've got the option to steal some bells and a tapestry, or to leave them there. It is kind of inconvenient that there are prisoners here. You'll probably get more of a reward for the prisoners, but they'll know that those bells and the tapestries were here, so there's a downside to that.
No, we're not stealing.
No.
Yeah.
Saving these guys is a future opportunity for lucrative enterprise.
Okay, so you guys are able to go back. We'll wrap it up because we've been playing for a while. You guys are able to go back to the city. Now, here's the thing. If any of you guys come to the convention games where we're running Mithras Tower games, and that would be me, that would be Bill Webb, that would be Doug Zielsdorf, there are a bunch of people who run them. You can keep these characters, and you can use them in that campaign, adding experience points, so on and so forth. In that campaign, everyone starts at 2nd level, which means that if you want to do it, you're going to first level up your character. Then you're going to add the experience points that we're going to get from the gold and stuff here. Okay,
Cool.
It's actually not level up; it's add 2,000. So you'll be adding 2,000, and then you'll have something that you can play that'll be caught up in the in that campaign. We run it at a bunch of different conventions, so there's some future adventuring in these characters if you go to conventions. You shut up, dog. You've got. So you're going to get 1,000 gold pieces as the reward for simply rescuing the place from the various halfling groups.
Each or split up?
Split up.
Okay, so
All right.
250 each.
You are also going to get a total ransom of 4,000 from the halflings' families themselves.
1,000 each for that.
4,000
Yes.
copper.
4,000 gold. Okay. Then you also have your cask of hallucinogens, which was worth 250. Alice used 25 of that, so it's now worth 225.
Okay.
You've got your 2 casks of acid. Those are worth 100 each, which you could choose to either turn into gold or to keep as equipment, one or the other. But you're going to get the 100 experience points each, so 200 experience points to divide up, regardless of what you do with that. And then you've got your gunpowder, which has got a remaining worth of 300 gold pieces. So here's how this works. You're just dividing up the gold however you want to, but you divide up, you get an experience points for each gold piece that you got. So that total divided out between people, plus any experience point bonuses that you have, will tell you the experience that you get from this. Plus, you get an additional, once again, a total of 800 experience points just for killing the gnolls.
Okay.
And that's
Now-
that's 200 each, correct?
Yes.
So 200 each for the XP, direct XP. And then we have 1,250 gold each, straight up, before we deal with the items. The question is, do we want to keep any of the items, or do we want to just sell all the items?
I'm okay with selling them. We also can loot that last gnoll. He had a bow, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I did pick up a bow. Do we keep the loot that we got from that, the longbow that Tim grabbed and I grabbed? Okay, I'll put
Yep.
down that I have a longbow.
And I believe longbows are too big for dwarves.
Yes.
Yep.
I
Okay.
did read that. So longbow, I have a longbow now with 20 ammo. And so does Tim. Okay. So yeah, at that point, I will say that with the fact that I got the longbow and the 20 ammo, if you guys want to split the last 525 amongst yourselves.
No, let's do it even.
Okay.
Even Steven, all 4 of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's 525, and that's going to be even Steven for a total of 131.25 on top of the 1,050. So 131.25.
131.25 total.
Mhm. And that's on top of the 1250 straight up clear. So yay, that's a lot of XP, and that's a lot of gold that we just got.
Yeah. And see that sharing rule is a key founding principle of Rubik Venture Incorporated.
Awesome. No wonder I'm willing to risk my leg for you.
There you go.
Well, everyone, I had a blast. Any closing thoughts or feedback we want to do? A quick debrief before we close up?
Can we go spend our money on awesome stuff? Like food?
One rules question. If you have 2 experience bonuses, they would stack, correct? So if I had a plus from charisma and plus from a high dex,
Yes.
they would stack. Cool.
Yeah, it would
Yes,
go
you
from
can
5% to 10%.
You could get as much as a 15%.
Okay.
Yeah, wisdom, charisma, and class.
Right.
What was that total XP again?
200 XP outside of the gold.
And what was the gold?
1,000.
So I count out for the total XP should be 1606.25. Is that jive with you, Alice?
So 1,000.
If we're getting an XP for each gold?
Plus, let me just look at my thing. I just closed it up.
Okay.
Yeah, 1,581.25.
Oh, I got.
Okay, so I haven't leveled up yet.
I got 1606.
Let's average it out. We'll call it 1,600.
Okay,
All right.
that's 1,600. So
Okay.
total XP is 1,600. Writing that down.
All right,
Awesome.
so everyone gets 1,600 plus whatever bonuses they
Yeah.
get,
Mhm.
and then you could it's worth adding another 2,000 to that now, so that
Okay.
you've got that. If you do ever use it, and so that'll result in everybody leveling up for sure.
So level
Possibly
2
even up to
plus
30.
that. Cool.
Yeah.
I
Being
think
it's not
Rubik
level
is
2.
third level.
It's not necessarily level 2. It's 2,000
Oh,
experience.
2,000 that we
So
start
you're-
with. So
Yeah.
3,600 is what we start,
Yeah.
what we're going in with. Awesome. Well, I had a lot of fun today,
Yeah.
guys. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. And for anyone who says that you
Thank you.
can't do a dungeon crawl without a tabletop, we just proved them wrong.
Yeah.
We
Oh.
kept track.
I grew up doing theater of the mind, guys. This was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or playing around a table at a diner or a pizza place, and you don't have a whole lot. So
Sometimes you just take the salt shaker and the pepper shaker and go, we're kind of going that way.
Yep.
So I had a
Well,
lot
thank
of
you
fun.
guys. Thank you very much for playing, guys. This was a fun
Well, thanks for
session.
hosting. That I appreciate
Yeah,
it. Thanks for
Thank you.
showing up.
Oh, my
Yes.
pleasure.
thank you much.
Thank you. Well, tune in next time, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.